那边为什么会有枪声？
姐姐波浪符，波浪符，波浪符，9个月送你在帮我念。
现在是在自动跑步，是不是？刚刚优哥帮忙换方向哦，他现在跑进白圈里面，好寂寞哦，这种感觉好像比自己一个人玩 solo 还寂寞。你的朋友是假的，你的队友是假的。你看我刚才面对到一组，我还是要自己打，我也没办法报，我也没办法说在哪边多少血，快帮我加强前压，前压都没办法。就是很安静的自己打，这样为什么不去打 solo 啊？这样好寂寞哦。他应该可以活下来，他会跑死吗？能不能够请优格帮按 F， 我开车去载沙根好了。 那内内嘞？内内来，内内，按 F 吼，内内可以帮忙按一下吗？内内。他趴着了，3分钟时间，他可能回来吗？
生要来了是不是？不行，他还没有要回来耶。怎么办？怎么办？不然你继续跑好了。你给他跑到这里来好了，他跑到圈的边边。怎么一直跑啊？怎么让他一直跑啊？怎么让他一直跑？哎，怎么？哎，蓝莲是怎么让他一直跑啊？怎么让他设定一直跑？上车！我不知道有车啊，阿生有车哦，哪里？
优哥，我这边很危险。优哥，你是不是没枪？你不要来我这边，优哥。
在这里，在这里。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，
车吗？
谢谢你哦。
转。
优哥，那个车不能上，优哥，那个车不能上。
哦，我看到人了，跑过去嘞。就像这样子，在这里会死吧？
优哥，去做前方的那个左前方的那个buggy，我把2个人杀完，我就来帮忙。
他怎么不快回来？我只能为他做这么多了，因为我也没枪啊，我也没有办法保护我自己啊。阿生跑好远哦，不然我就当诱饵也可以。阿生靠你了，阿生。
好，优哥上左前方的车，这边有枪。
有车，那边有车，所以我跑过去的意思吗？我听到阿生好像说有车，哎。
我这边有。
喂。
啊，对啊。喂 ，Hello。
哎，阿生。
哎。
哎，我帮他，要不要？
优哥，
我上车找个地方让我
那个树那边有东西可以捡，你先去捡那个枪，我开车去找你。
我没有打算跟着帮他玩的意思。好了。
那你帮他拿个枪，我保护他。
好，拿个。
起码有个竞争力。
好，哪里有枪？好，这样，好，来1、2、
没时间解释这么多了。
好，
你还是快上车吧。
那我到底，那我先上车。
好，你上车，然后你就可以不用顾了，我会保护好他的。
好，交给你了。好，交给你了，请帮我们载到一个安全一点的地方。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，
那先这样子
谢谢
喽，
你哦。
拜拜。
好，
再打小鱼
拜拜拜拜
3。
感谢 Alan PO 6个月，交给他4个。我现在在等他回来帮我用10分，我也要等一下也要开看。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。我要去上课了，拜拜。
这位事态有一点严重，他可能不会回来了。我等一下要直接帮他关台了。哇，这里好安全呐！
要帮他关台了。
对，等你这一场完关，那我来保护我来捡个东西。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。
我至少捡个头盔，然后捡个小枪。好，这样子好。
小手枪啊，那边小手枪。
有，
那边没有什么东西可以。然后那2楼这边有散弹枪可以拿。
好。那我没关系，我小手枪好了。
好，我们要上车喽。
好。
你要不要补个鞋啊？
好啊。我们捡不起来哦。
对，他按 F， 然后再按 TAB，
有了，
然后再对急救包按右键。
看到了。我们要跑了吗？我记得乘坐不是按 F 吗？怎么它这边都要变E？哦，他改过。哇，阿三不知道前面怎么自己玩的，有办法玩到现在这个地步。
行，我什么大风大浪没看过，这个小事。
台主5星星啊，
好
有人订阅，
啊，他声音真的开有够大声的，我什么都听不到。
台主不失智了小鱼3。
感谢 DOKKAN。哦，这是空投吗？
过了，被捡过了，走。
好，快走。
好啦，沙哥，不优哥，这个我们过桥，
好，
如果死了我们就算那个了哈。对，不太好去，我看有没有船。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。趁现在。
有船。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。现在订阅很赚。
有这台车，不行。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。
感谢神龟。
等我一下哦，处理一下问题。
你处理。有人。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，
加油！
谢谢你哦。
漂亮！
订了3年了，很终于正常了。
来了。好了，差不多了。
好了，12名不错了，我
你们
还有一击杀。
台主5星星啊，
他
有人订阅，
要关了，
谢谢你哦。
对啊，
哦，好哦。
我还没跟你玩过，下次一起玩，下次一起好不好？
好啊。
好，OK，
好啊，
拜拜。
拜拜。
我看我的死亡画面。
台主5星星啊，有人订阅，谢谢你哦。
谢谢 Johnson 94003。
转。
我每一株撞过来哦，我站在远方，好好笑。拿小手枪。各位，我先关台啦。拜拜，拜拜。
韩英华丽卡牌巨作，随心所欲控制一切。时间静止，你就是王。王国5继承者为荣耀而战。
Hanabi stepping in and having good performances for themselves. They've shown different styles as well. They had the Yasuo top, split push, Tom Kench, a lot of global mobility. So there are more looks from Flash Wolves than people were thinking they were going to get.
Yeah, and of course, Cast having left Flash Wolves, he did an interview recently where he said, it actually feels bad to see Flash Wolves perform so well once I leave the team. And that's another added element that obviously Costa took the stage yesterday you have to factor in.
If you break up with your girlfriend, you want her with an uglier dude.
No doubt about that. And we'll have to see whether or not Flash Wolves will bounce back from yesterday's trials and tribulations. Morgana, Graves, Ezreal, Zoe, and Gangplank find themselves in the ban pool.
Very, very interesting Graves ban, considering the priority that Team Liquid have had on Trundle, and that being one of the picks that we see so often into the Trundle.
That to me just says that they're looking for a first pick Trundle themselves. If they want to limit the number of counter picks that are available, and they're saying, you know what, Xmithy, we think that you don't play things like the Lee Sin and the Kha'Zix, we're more than happy to just ban the Graves away and first pick it.
Especially since they're expecting 100% tanks from North American LCS. Impact on a tank for sure. They've been at least been double stacking them, either another one from the jungle or one from Ole.
What surprises me is the Rakan ban as well, because if you know, or they're likely going to go for the Trundle, you could have either had them pick the Rakan themselves, and then you get yourself the Trundle with no counter, along with the fact that it looks like they don't play the Zyra Rakan.
This is a Gragas lock-in so early, Vedius. This is a champion we have not seen at this tournament. He got AP buff, so I would leave the door open for a possible flex pick, but primarily jungle position.
Yeah, I would expect it to be in the jungle. I think that against the pillar, you always have the dash, and we know that that mobility is great into a Trundle. In terms of playmaking and setup, you also have so much coming from Xmithy, and I feel like for this team, he will be a core part that you need to rely on.
Very bursty champion. We're going to follow it up with the Kaisa ban here for Double Lift. And as the analyst has said, actually, every single analyst that I've talked to this entire tournament, the first thing for any team that they've said is always pushing bottom lane. We want a winning bottom lane. They just keep repeating this, you know, over and over and over because it has been so important. So the support that gets paired with this is going to determine a lot of how it goes, because Kog'Maw has been the go-to pick into Kaisa. Double have said it, it was an impossible matchup to play from the Kaisa side.
Yeah.
And when Flash was also already locking in Karma, a very strong laner for a possible support, that would mean that Doublelift would have his work cut out for him.
He certainly will do, and Flash Wolves now have the ability to ban more supports out if they want to try and limit that bot pool. But for Liquid, I think they should ban away the Cassio. I think it is a good pick into the Malzahar, and in the hands of Maple, who has had a phenomenal tournament. In my eyes, the best mid laner at this tournament so far. Putting him in the hands of a big, scaling mid-lane champion that can outduel and outperform something like a Malz, I think would be worth taking off the board.
Couple of seconds left to see whether or not you get your pick. Camille will be the final ban on Phase 2 for Team Liquid, and that's Gragas. I know we briefly flirted with the idea, it could be not in the jungle, but Xmithy historically is a very big Gragas player. I believe it is his most played competitive professional champion by a sizable margin. And we'll see whether or not he can use the engage tools to enable Team Liquid, get them one step closer to semifinals. Last ban from Flash Wolves will come in shortly, and it will be the Thresh.
So this indicates to me that the Karma will be in the support position. Wouldn't surprise me if Liquid go for something like the Tom Kench, given it is a big comfort pick of Ole, does give you a little bit of map movement and roaming power, and they'll classically put impact on a tank up in the top lane.
A Tom Kench, though, would just be completely sacrificing that bottom side of the map, and a very dangerous choice to make, because Gragas, has, even though he has burst potential, right? You can come in, body slam, flash, and go for a big gank. It's going to be very difficult riding something like that. Shen, though, that hover over puts even more power towards the bottom lane.
Yep. This is all to protect the Kog'Maw composition based on what we're going for so far. The quick shift over to Cho'Gath does show that Flash Wolves have quite a strong Baron taking team in the later portions of the game.
Yeah, you definitely want to feast if you're playing versus Smithy, and you go for the Baron when he's up, because he has been on point with smiting them, stealing them away.
For a very long time.
For a very, very long time.
Well, last pick's going to come in, Vedius. It was not the Cassio, despite a very long hover. Swain instead What do you make of the pivot into that Malzahar?
Well, we've seen it so many times, a Trundle Pillar being able to set up the passive from Swain so he can draw you even closer, and that being a very useful combination that can be procced at range.
Personally, I'm not a massive fan. I feel like Swain is one of the few matchups that actually can't punish the weak early laning phase that Malzahar typically has, because he needs quite a few points in his ear before he can really start pushing that wave up. And Swain, especially after the recent nerfs, doesn't have the wave clear, so Pobelter should have a free laning phase, and overall, Liquid have drafted themselves a pretty solid team fight composition, which kind of fits the style that Team Liquid found so much success with during the playoffs.
Yeah, we were definitely expecting a ranged support to complement Doublelift's Kaisa down here. You cannot sacrifice that bottom side. They've gone with the Janna for Ole, and it's going to be up to them. Will this bottom lane, be able to get through the early stages?
For Flash Wars, they're all about the scaling. Swain, Kog'Maw, Cho'Gath, also effective in late game team fights themselves, especially once they've completed 2 to 3 items. And I think it's fascinating to have the differences between the two comps, where Liquid, primarily they want to find these picks initially. They want to use the mobility from Doublelift's ultimate, the ulti from Pobelter to catch a target out, even the Ornn ulti to lock down unsuspecting targets. But how quickly will Flash Wars look to group up and try and force those fights around Baron?
Yep, all other members on Team Liquid can set up the passive from Kaisa and try and have some synergy in this game.
Oh, so much on the line. Team Liquid, 3 wins and 5 losses. They are chasing Fnatic for that 4th and final seed into the semifinals and that trip to Paris.
And it's important to note that while a loss here for Team Liquid will not knock them out of contention, it is no longer in their control. They need Fnatic to lose later on in the day. Otherwise, a win here would just make their lives a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yep. Meanwhile, Flash Wolves are playing for that control. As we said, the championship is open, and they want to take it all the way this time. SK Telecom is not here. The defending champs are not here, and they want a piece.
They definitely do. The old guard of MSI past are no longer with us. Flash was the only returning team from 2017 MSI, with a different look, of course, with Hanabi and Mujin in the top and jungle position. Now, there is some cheekiness being set up here as Team Liquid have snuck their way into this bottom brush. I'm whispering because the tension is high, and Smithy walking around the corner will get spotted. Sword Art will escape with his life for now, but Team Liquid, they're not done yet, boys. They continue this pressure. Sword Art gets a mantra, just a Q rather. I think it was mantra actually.
He's getting some more Spell Thieves procs as well, a little bit of extra gold in his pockets. Team Liquid drop off their wards. The counter invade from Flash Wolves on top side is timely. That's the response here. Going to trade a little bit of control of the red quadrants.
A couple of pings coming down from Team Liquid onto the top side of their jungle. Ideally, they'd like to drop a ward, but likelihood is Impact will just walk through. Pobelter can also keep an eye on what Flash Wolves are up to.
Oh, Impact gonna walk the safe way around. Pobelter puts the ward onto the Raptors. They will be able to see that the red's been taken, but Smithy, half his life already out.
Oh, Ole and Doublelift have not left though. Some plasma tagging on Betty. Doublelift and Ole gonna sidestep that Q. Continue to put some help and some assistance. Now look at the mid lane. Pobelter and Maple, they're trading a little bit. As now Doublelift and Ole back away. That's the smite for the red steal. But what impact will this have on the mid and bottom lane as Ole takes another big chunk to the face?
So it's really important to recognize how much farm was given away or gained from both sides, because in the bottom lane, they got to lane rather delayed.
Smithy's got to get out of there.
Oh, take a look at this. Smithy's got body slam and flash. That's a flash already used.
Oh!
No body slam. I take it back. Death's Hand tags him. Very good response. Smithy survives a few seconds longer before Mujin takes him out.
What an amazing collapse from Flash Wolves there. Maple flashes, so the second half of his Q is going to come back through Smithy, so he lands the snare, and they're able to absolutely take this early game out of Team Liquid's hands.
This is a 4-buff start for Mujin after what was a fantastic collapse. Kobe, you talked a lot about it. Can the bottom lane of Team Liquid do anything to stop this? As Mujin, he does not have smite.
No, he doesn't, but should be able to secure it, and does. One last little chomp down. Flash Wolves get the buff, they get the first blood, they get a 800 gold lead already.
So the question is, what can Flash Wolves use for this early lead? Smithy, he doesn't have Flash, but neither does Maple. And in the early game, punishing the lack of summoner spells is a great strategy. Remember, Well, let's first have a look back at how this play happened. And Muujin, he just runs straight through the middle lane. Xmithie sees this coming.
Yeah, you gotta blame Team Liquid and Xmithie for this one because, as you said, they walk through the vision. Here's Maple's big play, though. The never move comes back to you, so he flashes with Xmithie to that side, so he's able to tag them, and Muujin is there, able to clean it up for them.
So we talked about there being no summoner spells now in the middle lane, and I think back to when Kingzone played up against RNG, and MLXG had all of his jungle taken, he was 2 levels down, and he just started ganking. Over and over again, he was getting involved in the lanes, he was trying to burn summoner spells and then come back later on, and that allowed RNG to come back into the game. And for Xmithie, given the deficit he's in right now, while it isn't so significant that he can't pull himself back, I'd love to see him be active on this Gragas where the summoner spells are lacking right now for Flash.
Okay, so Xmithie then, I'll keep my eyes on him. Level 3, no flash. He needs to scale up, got that electrocute as his keystone. We caught a glimpse there, by the way, of Pobelter just getting chunked down, eating every single spell from Maple. And as it stands, Xmithie's picked himself that early amp tome, working towards some additional damage. Team Liquid, they're already behind 1,000 gold. They're losing out on some CS. It's a difficult start to what will be a very difficult day for the North American representatives.
Definitely true. Meanwhile, can't really let that affect you in the bottom lane. All of the laners just kind of have to play a little bit more safe now. If Gragas does not have flash in the early game, he's not going to provide that extra threat to your lane that you would want to, try and help out your laning phase and make your enemies be more respectful of any lack of vision. Xmithie's just trying to climb his way back into the game on Gragas, takes the Krugs and goes for an immediate back afterwards because there's nothing left for him to really gain.
And meanwhile, on the other side, Muujin is already making his way towards the bottom lane. He now has a 2-level advantage over his counter jungling opponent, and he just wants to get further deep vision, try and make things as difficult as possible for Xmithie.
And of course, he has to attack the bottom lane, establish control around this Kai'Sa, and not allow Team Liquid to scale.
Yeah, and of course, we saw that drop down earlier. This is Double's first professional game as Kai'Sa, but he's just playing really, really well this tournament. Yesterday, great standout performance, 23 KDA, and helping Team Liquid get that 2-0 on the day. And Double truly has been sort of the carry that Team Liquid have continued to look to and lean on.
Definitely going to have his work cut out for him this game. An Ocean Drake being taken up very easily because of the jungle difference here. Muujin's got complete control. There's no way that Team Liquid, Xmithie, or anyone else are going to be able to go answer. And that is going to be some early dragon control.
And it makes the top lane matchup that much harder as well. I hear from all these top laners so many times that if your opponent has an Ocean Drake, every time you go in for a trade, it never really feels like you win because the sustain is just so impactful during the early portions of the map. So Hanabi going for a bit of a back and forth, and he's going to be more than happy with this.
Definitely true. Flash Wolves as a team, super happy with this early game. Also, I think they did very good preparation. Xmithie has been the heart of this Team Liquid squad. So active and so much a part of facilitating any of their positive plays that taking him out of the game, in the bans, focusing the most picked champion there for them, Trundle, and then early on as well, really, really well executed.
But that Rakan ban as well really spoke to me a lot because it implied that Team Liquid were not willing to trade Trundle for Xayah Rakan in the bottom lane. And the fact that Flash Wolves felt confident in being able to get themselves a winning 2 versus 2 matchup in what they feel is confident with the Kog'Maw and a ranged support gives them priority over the bot side, gives them priority over top. And Maple, I wasn't entirely confident in this matchup. He's proving me wrong as he puts so much pressure down into Pobelter in the middle lane.
And the jungle invade continues. Trundle able to abuse the lead that he has here, moves up with Hanabi, and they're able to take away the red. Meanwhile, Xmithie's trying to answer. It's definitely dangerous, though, as this was the area he was caught in red-handed before.
I want to put that jungle matchup, Kobe, to some numbers. Xmithie's down 1,000 gold. So his team's gold difference is the big difference between Xmithie and Muujin. Obviously, there's First Blood. Obviously, there's a bunch of camps. It all adds up. But it's just the type of start for Team Liquid you did not want to see. The run starting to build up. And I'm going to go back to something, Vedius, you mentioned, confidence in the bottom lane. That's not a confident bottom lane. They've gone through some really difficult times here at MSI. And right now, Doublelift and Ole may be called upon to help out. Muujin going for the invade, easy smite steal, and Xmithie has just been put further behind.
He's going to get full buffed once again. Xmithie I don't think he's gotten a buff yet this game. Is a large part of why he's in such a big deficit. You know, you talked about this bottom lane. They still have the late game insurance. We've seen multiple times what Kaisar can do in these team fight scenarios. And we talked a little bit about how the comp of Team Liquid is very pick-oriented. You have so many tools to split apart the enemy flash walls. You have so much mobility with the Janna and the Gragas, sorry, with the Kaisar and the Gragas as well in these team fights. And with the long-range engage tools that they have, Flash Wolves have to respect a lot of the mid-game power that this Team Liquid composition can provide.
Yep. Also, their jungler here for Team Liquid gonna need to remain tilt-proof. Smithy's trying to get to his level 6 so that he can actually have an impact. Even though it's very discouraging to be absolutely trashed in the early game like this, you still do have to look for those openings, those proactive plays. When you're a Gragas, you have Flash. Now he's got available, now he's got his ultimate available as well. And it's probably time for them to change the way that this game is going.
Kobe, he already has an impact. Are you saying that he needs 2 of them?
No, 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 no. Freak is not casting. You're not permitted to bring it down to that level.
I almost never say this, but Freak probably would have done that better.
Yeah. I can't believe you gave him that kudos. Gentlemen, I'm going to bring us back to this Flash Wolves domination. Because yesterday they went down 0-2. Yesterday they lost to Fnatic, they lost to RNG. You can see the goal differences. Fnatic 2k up, RNG 6k up. Today they've bounced back and they've punished Xmithy exactly how they need to.
I have to say, you know, people have been underestimating Flash Wolf for years. And even in this tournament where they had such success, oh, here we go, the flash is blown.
Let's take a look at that. Pobelter's passive is parked. Killer Instinct is available for double lift, and he fires. Sword Art continues to get run down. Nethergraph will allow the kill to be secured. This double lifter picks it up. Now, Flash Wolf, Mugen, and Maple, they're trying to step forward. Where's Vision of the Empire? Not pulled yet.
Yep, Smithy does have the Gragas ultimate steal, so he could use that to disengage if they kept chasing. That is a proactive move from Pobelter here for Team Liquid to get a kill on the bottom lane for Kaisa.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that in the replay we can track how Pobelter moved through the river in order to get down, because he hasn't used his teleport, and Maple actually followed him second, even though he's been the one primarily pushing Pobelter underneath his tower. It did cost Pobelter a flash, but Team Liquid, they find advantage down to the bottom lane, and they get double lifted kill.
Yep, they've been looking at the bottom lane still as all the pings are going down on that turret. Olay by himself at a very juicy objective. Now he knows to get out of there. The Scryer's Bloom has been given away.
Oh, is it too late, though? Because I don't think he was spotted. He didn't get that little animation above his head. Mugen is waiting in the wings. Olay's now going to try his best to get out. Does have access to his ultimate. Remember, no flash available. Teleport being channeled by Pobelter, and the minion wave is slowly being cleared out. Here comes Pobelter with Call of the Void to silence. Maple's trying to make his way in. That's a flash. Never move into the kill. Mugen with the flash chop. Killer Instinct's on cooldown for double lift, so he cannot use that either. And the Demonic Ascension keeps Maple alive. Now here comes Xmithy. Tower First Blood picked up by the Flash Wolves. Sword Art's taken down. The Malefic Visions are bouncing and hopping across the targets, but there's not enough damage yet. Flash Wolves get another kill.
Great job by Flash Wolves to just push this lead all the way through the turret. They get the first turret bonus gold. They get the kills, and they do not stop. Now upcoming here is a Cloud Drake as well in 15 seconds to get back onto the map.
And keep in mind that while Team Liquid have been finding kills, they're all onto Sword Art right now, whereas it is the Mugen in the jungle picking up the kills along with Maple on the side of Flash Wolves. Gold is going into the hands of the right pocket as we watch again this replay.
All right, so Flash Wolves know that they have the tempo, they know that they have the fed jungler here, so they just try and brute force this objective. Maple flashes in for Olay. They kill him just as he uses his ultimate, and that was actually critical, because if he was going to get any healing off, it might have delayed long enough.
And I feel like the Team Liquid just felt that they could fight for this, because Xmithy was coming in through the river and Double Lift was coming in from base, but he did not have his ultimate available. Olay could not survive for long enough, and rather than just concede it, they gave away kills and a tower to boot.
See the damage there being put down by Maple. Himself that mask already. I think Xmithy won the smite fight. Not the first time win or the last time we'll be saying that sentence. But gentlemen, at the end of the drama, at 12 minutes, it's still a 2,500 gold lead for Flash Wolves. They got the first tower, they got the first dragon, and here comes a proactive play. Impact's got Call of the Forge got available, and it is summoned. Hanabi holds onto his flash, and Impact actually going to flash forward for this one. With the help of Double Up, they continue to chase. Ole's in so much trouble. He's taking a lot of damage. Teleport being channeled, and finally the kill is secured. Turn the attention to Xmithy. Now Maple's looking to run him down. Support can come from Team Liquid from the jungle, and it is. Near the grass, not going to be needed.
Yeah, all the focus here bottom lane is because Double Lift is the hope of Team Liquid. They put another kill onto him, and they're going to be able to take this turret trade, but Flash Wolves are pushing harder and faster on the top side.
Every time Team Liquid make a play, Flash Wolves answer. Yes, Team Liquid, they still have priority bot. They still have the numbers, and they could keep pushing. I don't know if Flash Wolves will be able to respond in time as Team Liquid are getting a little bit more control back over the map.
Now they're going to try and retreat to the Dragon after they take away this red. That is going to mean that Flash Wolves will be able to take the Rift Herald on the top side of the map in exchange.
And it's just a lot of trading back and forth between the two teams. Kobe, I think you highlighted it perfectly as Double Lift is continuing to rack up these kills. We talked about how he can be that late game insurance for Team Liquid, and we've seen what pros have done so far in this tournament with this champion. Double Lift is one of the players that can turn it around and can win those late game fights if Flash Wolves allow them to get there.
Especially now that he has a Rage Blade and Zeal completed at 14 minutes. That is a gigantic spike in power. Of course, no boots yet versus Betty's Berserker's Greaves, so Double Lift's going to need to be in the right place at the right time. Team Liquid are still 3,000 gold down.
It's worth highlighting, though, that a lot of that deficit comes from Wujin versus Xmithy. He has a level on him right now, but Xmithy being 2k gold down as Hanabi gets locked up.
Well, Double Lift is going to jump all the way forward. Remember, Hanabi was the recipient of the gank a moment or two ago. He gets taken out. Double Lift on a killing spree.
And that's a big misplay from Hanabi. No flash, doesn't have a tower, tries to get vision in the river, but he walks through all of these wards that Team Liquid had set up in the bottom side of the map. They just ran out, as we asked the observers to highlight over and what it means is another kill goes in favor of Double Lift.
And Double Lift here, Rage Blade looks like into Hurricane, going to be the build to melt multiple members. And that is the one you want to see from the hard carry. He hasn't even purchased boots yet, focusing fully on combat effectiveness.
Especially when you're going to have Cho'Gath, Trundle, and Swain in your face for days. Definitely going to be difficult to play these team fights out. Double Lift and Ole going to continue to push thanks to that vision that set up earlier. Get a little bit of damage, deny some minions in the bottom lane before they back away.
And Double Lift's positioning is going to be of the utmost importance for Team Liquid. So that means that we're going to keep our eyes on Ole with this Janna. You have to be next to him, be ready to reset with your ultimate. You know, with the Rage Blade plus a Hurricane completed, he could theoretically take down multiple tanks at the same time.
I think that Ole's positioning will be pivotal, especially given that he's decided to go for the Ignite rather than the Exhaust. And I think that makes sense because you want to try and mitigate the healing from Maple in those late game fights as well. And when you look at targets, like, the ultimate from Maple is very easy to play around. It's rather telegraphed. You know you can predict it, so an Exhaust less valuable than perhaps you would initially expect against this comp.
See that little pop-up, by the way? Just telling the story of Xmithy and how difficult this game has been. He's still 2,000 gold down, which is the entirety of the gold difference between Flash Wolves and Team Liquid. And also, Flash Wolves, by the way, 6-0 with the gold lead at 15 minutes. It helps when you're 6-2 and you're the winningest team, of course. But they've still got to play this out and get past this Malzahar and Kai'Sa.
And what it means for Gragas to be behind like that is just that you're going to be a lot more squishy than you're used to. He's still gone with the Runic Echoes. You know, we see most Gragas take the Electrocute as well. It's usually for that early game impact. He didn't get to have that, but he still has the possibility in team fights to make big plays. Big thing about Gragas is, of course, the crowd control abilities and the accuracy of your ultimate dividing the members of the enemy team so that Kai'Sa can try and take over a team fight. If you split all of Flash Wolves up, then that allows Double Lift to jump in with Killer Instinct, choose his targets, and try and take down the squishy ones ahead of the more tanky.
Exactly that. And I think that how these fights start will be really important too, because you could use Xmithy to ulti away the enemy team once Pobelter is locked onto a target. Alternatively, it could be Hanabi finding a flank, and you have to use that ulti as a disengage. The setup will be pivotal in order to enable Team Liquid to execute these comps perfectly.
Talking about setup, there's a QSS for Betty already. So he's gone for that survivability into the nether grasp that can come down from Pobelter. It may be important. We've got a fight brewing. Flash Wolves waiting in the river. Maple can grab somebody. You can see that Call of the Void comes out. That's an interrupt on the Herald, but it landed late. The explosive cast did not stop Mujin.
That possibility for the big playmaking for a team fight is now totally gone. That's Flash and Gragas ultimate down.
And that should be an easy tower secured for Flash Wolves. Impact thinking about going in, decides against it.
They don't want to because look at Double Lift. Off screen, he used both his summoner spells to get out of a sticky situation, and now Flash Wolf are sieging onto the tier 2.
Oh, they really are. The Rift Herald will get taken down at last, but Flash Wolves to get themselves a tower and some chip on that inner.
And so many of the cooldowns here from Team Liquid. Impact on Ornn is the only one left with his flash after that engagement. Meanwhile, Flash Wolves sporting all 5.
Was it really worth to try and interrupt that Rift Herald? Question that we'll be asking for a little while. But Flash Wolves, they maintain control. They are dictating what happens when.
And Flash is one of the biggest cooldowns in the game, so they have a large window now to try and work with a very big advantage.
With the Drake spawning in about a minute's time, Xmithy getting early on into the river to secure a bit of vision control so that they can look to try and contest this. Remember, the gold lead is big, but a lot of it sits on Xmithy, and he's decided to go for the AP build rather than the full tank, which perhaps could influence things later on in fights.
Side lane play here possible from Double Lift. He's looking for Maple to actually push up a little bit more. Now they're going to find him isolated, maybe.
Ooh, Void Seeker needs to hit a target. It doesn't. Maple's got a tower to fall back to. You see instant fallback pings. Fall back, and TL back away.
Back to the Gragas build, though. A lot of Gragas will just stop at the Runic Echoes and, you know, call it quits there. And then go mostly tank afterwards. Let's take another look, though. This was the attempt. Goes in, flashes away afterwards.
Just a little too late there. And then Flash Wolves could very easily group up mid and push. And then, yeah, as you saw just off screen, that was where Double Lift was forced to use both his summoner spells, because a good E once again coming out from Maple.
Well, Double Lift's finish off that Hurricane. Not gone for the tier 2 boots yet. Impact doing relatively well, by the way. We've not really talked a lot about Hanabi and Impact, unless Hanabi's been ganked. But Impact plus 20 CS, he's got Banner of Command already. And that's going to do pretty well. There's not a great answer to those Banner empowered minions. Obviously, the Feast can help. But you want to save that for those team fights as the game plays out.
Yeah, as far as tank v tank goes, I think Feast is about as good of an answer as you're ever going to get. But you're right, Impact is at home in these tank v tank matchups, and it definitely seems to be a comfort. He's now joining with the rest of the squad. Top and mid turrets are both very low here, but if you don't actually knock it over, then you don't get to use any of the much-needed gold. Here they go offensive.
Look at the damage from Betty. He's running forward. Call of the Forge God at least dissuades any further follow-up, and Pobel to need to use both summons.
And these ultis from Team Liquid are just being used to disengage for the time being. They respect the difference in strength right now in the game. They do not want to try and force a fight. Instead, they're just chipping away at these towers as Flash Wolves are looking to punish.
Now, whenever you're watching pro games and you see flashes blown and blown and blown over and over, on one side, you feel like a team is up against the ropes if they're constantly having to use that cooldown. Even though Flash Wolves aren't getting these kills, they are able to get another Drake for themselves and rotate up tier to try and catch Pobe.
The blue buff on Betty's just going to allow him to run down Pobelter. Kept the vision on. Vision of the Empire even gets a assist.
This is not a surprise for Team Liquid, unfortunately, as Pobelter has been caught out multiple times during this tournament. Interested to see why he was so overextended in the middle lane, because he had no summoner spells available. We just saw him use that flash, and now Flash Wolves are looking to punish.
They are indeed. The inner turret gets chunked down. Killer Instinct's available for Double Lift, but there's nothing to back it up. No explosive cast, no Call of the Forge God. So Team Liquid say no to the engage. Flash Wolves are not done sieging.
And as Captain Flowers aptly puts it, you can see the Malzahar tax is coming through. The QSS has already been picked up for the AD carry as Flash Wolves continue the chip and poke damage. Mal's now respawning. He's just going to be able to catch the top wave, and Flash Wolves likely to just disengage off the back of this, reset the map.
It's been a Flash Wolves map for 22 minutes. It is a very big gold lead. It is a dragon lead. The vision is still pushed forward. And Flash Wolves, by the way, they've not backed. They really, really want to take this tower down. Maple's coming in. He's got flash and he's got full stacks on that passive.
Here we go.
Let's take a look. Call of the Forge God comes up. Yes, it knocks up 3. Nether Grasp manages to lock down Hanabi. He flashes away for his life, and now Maple swaps up frontline duty. Double forced to run for his life. Feral Scream will interrupt him for a while, but Maple is down. It's Ole that kills him. Team Liquid win the fight, defend the tower.
And that's with pushing away kind of the low health members there. But Team Liquid happy to get this victory. They can push mid lane and some pings around the river as well.
And Team Liquid finally utilized the strengths of their composition. Flash Wolves go for one final push to secure that in a tower, but they cannot find it with a good ulti from Pobelter and the collapse from the rest of the team.
Pobelter and Impact hit the hard CC that they need there, and they get some much needed tower gold, but now they're trying to reset, and Flash Wolves are in a dangerous area.
Oh, Team Liquid, so risky there. Oh, they finished that recall. I was getting nervous. But looking at the minimap, top pushing in favor of Team Liquid, bottom crashing into the tower, also in favor of Team Liquid. Maple's going to deal with it and then has teleport available. But this gold lead now means nothing. The damage dealers are what matter to TL.
It's really important to recognize that gold lead, though, Quickshot, because it was a 4,000 gold advantage in favor of Flash Wolves, and with one good fight, Team Liquid have reduced that down to about 1,000, and keeping that gap close, allowing Doublelift to get to a point where he will be this huge impact in team fights is the big win condition for Team Liquid as they find a good fight versus Flash Wolves.
Yeah, this fight right here very well could have been a breaking point for Team Liquid, but look at this. The Ornn ultimate right through three of them. Pobelter follows it up, melts through the front line. Now all the front line is gone. Even though they didn't get the kill onto Trundle, they're still under turret, so it's very easy for Doublelift and the rest of the team to focus fire down Maple. They would have liked, you know, to have maybe the knock-in to also get the Trundle kill, but they're definitely take what they can get. The important part for them was that they got the turret afterwards for some more gold and to open up the map a little bit.
Yeah, well-executed fight there from Liquid, but now we've got to look back at the items that are being completed for both sides, because one of the big win conditions for Flash Wolves is utilizing the Baron. You have the Cho'Gath, you have a Kog'Maw, a very fast Baron-taking team, and a lot of opportunities to catch Team Liquid unawares. So given the speed at which you can take it, you need those items to be finished. Now, the problem is because you go for the Quicksilver Sash, you have a Doublelift who has a whole BF sword ahead of you, which means that Team Liquid are going to be ready to fight that much sooner than Flash Wolves are.
Yeah, Doublelift would really like to complete his own QSS as well, because again, he is the hope for this squad. Right now, he's pushing the top wave in, and Team Liquid trying to keep vision around Baron.
All right, and Smithy's going to use that body slam to get past the Trundle pillar. Team Liquid do not expend any more summoner spells, but Flash Wolves and TL poising for a fight.
Yeah, a lot of pings coming down here. Doublelift has joined the rest of them. Anytime he joins and it's a full 5-man, then there's the possibility for the engage. Because if we update again, Vedius, the Shirelias has been completed on Gragas there for Smithy, so he is adding even more AP as well as some utility for the team, and speed is so important right now when you're choosing these engages.
I must admit that Team Liquid right now are having much better control over their side lanes as well. Note how many minion waves are just crashing into these side lane towers of Flash Wolves, and it is not being picked up. That means that Pobelter has a level advantage. Impact is ahead in experience, and Doublelift is just being funneled farm. So in terms of the map, Flash Wolves are kind of being dragged around, constantly trying to clean up these waves.
Yep, even though there are 3 control wards in this river around Baron for Flash Wolves, Team Liquid have pushed the bottom first, and now they're going to try and move in to regain some of that very important vision around Baron.
Oh, I don't know where Flash Wolves are. The observers are trolling all of us, just showing the Team Liquid vision. You can feel the tension as they're clearing out the ward towards Baron.
Yeah, because Team Liquid were able to push bottom first, Impact walks to join the rest of the team, and Cho'Gath shows bottom. So that's why they're able to move in, try and retake control there. But again, both teams have Rage Blade. We're so focused on the Kaisa because this champion has recently just taken over the game, but Kog'Maw as well can melt through it.
And this swing in control, this ebb and flow to the game, now actually has a flow. Initially, from the early game, it was all Flash Wolves. They shut down Xmithy, they controlled the jungle. Flash Wolves took so many early objectives and examples, and now after one team fight, Team Liquid have evened the goal deficits and are actually pushing past the river to set up their own plays.
Exactly. No matter what happens here, showing poise in a game like this where you get destroyed that heavily in difference of jungle presence early on in the game is something that people wanted to see from Team Liquid. There's been so much talk, you know, about the mental state of the team and about the clutch factor that a lot of these guys may or may not be bringing. Right now, though, they've been able to bring this game right back to even and put themselves into a spot where they can force those tiebreakers and they can actually take control.
And we're getting to a point where I feel that team fights will all come down to execution. Who has the setup? Who hits those primary crowd controls. We've talked so much about the Gragas ulti, the Impact ulti. We've talked about the positioning of Betty. Who will be the ones to find the fight that will swing the game?
Bettius is a potential team fight for Ocean Drake on the horizon, and Doublelift went for an Infinity Edge first. So he's already got the damage bonus. Ocean Drake picked up by TL.
Doublelift can absolutely 1v5 right now. So much damage packed into this Kaisa. He has a huge spike right now, and Team Liquid are actually looking to utilize it.
Let's find out. Flash Wolf started that one. Pillar of Ice comes out as Impact is now being zoned away by Betty. All of the Forge God comes out. Maple is the target. He's only got one stack on his passive. That's already a kill onto Mujin. Now in a 5-on-4. The Monsoon has been channeled, and Hanabi's joined the fight.
Good reset there from Ole. Flash Wolves now sticking around without a Swain ultimate as well. They have to see control.
But keep track of the ultimates that we use. Pobelta, Xmithy, Impact, all have them unavailable, but the same goes for Maple. The big swing factor could be Hanabi. Can they land the CC to find a target, or will Team Liquid secure themselves a Baron?
Look at the minimap. Bottom is in favor of Team Liquid. Top is in favor of Flash Wolves, and Baron has been started.
That's quick.
There's a feast available for Hanabi if he can get into the pit. The Baron is the focus. 2,900. Turn and burn. Look for the fight. Flash Wolves get body slammed on. That's a bounce back. Xmithy goes out. Betty's running forward, looking for the triple kill. Impact is being burned and eaten alive. Knocked up into the air. Living artillery, and Maple takes him out. Flash Wolves win!
And the Kog'Maw comes up so huge for Flash Wolves. They've taken control over the Baron pit. Now it's their turn to actually force.
Mujin has respawned. He's on his way back. Xmithy is dead, so the risk of a steal is minimal. Pobelta, you are the one that could save this game.
Oh man, let's take a look if there's any possibility. Flash available to him. Flash Wolves doing the right thing. Pobelta decides to save his life, and Flash Wolves get out clean.
Such a critical team fight there from Flash Wolves to 4v5 and come up huge. They're able to kill Smithy first and run right through the team. Betty, this is an AD carry in an AD carries tournament that has surprised so many.
The aggressive flash forward, I mean, it was insane. I'm anticipating the replay coming up with Betty's very forward motion.
And the big thing to note is the fact that this is brought to you by Ace of Predator, and unfortunately, Ace of Predator couldn't really do much for Team Liquid as they tried to go for the re-engage. They didn't have the ultimates available. We talked about it at the start of the fight. Impact dives in, but then the Flash Wolves, they're better set up to go for the re-engage. Betty can just freely dish out damage, whereas Kaisa, her short range wasn't enough to threaten the same way in which the Kog'Maw could.
Yeah, Hanabi there on the Cho'Gath played a very good role, able to get the Rupture off, then flash out afterwards. Team Liquid looking for an offensive move right now.
Killer Instinct is available, but Doublelift's not going to pull the trigger, and I think wisely so. Disengage is now the call for Team Liquid. Baron empowered Flash Wolves with a gold lead. They can look to siege multiple lanes.
Impact does have priority over mid and the teleport. Good damage there from Doublelift.
And he's forced to run away, gets caught out. That's a beautiful barrel! Xmithy, on maybe his signature champion, catches out Maple.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between that one and Sejuani, but he lands this ultimate perfect, able to get Maple right there and put a complete stop to the Baron-empowered siege.
Really good pick there from Team Liquid. Level 16 Doublelift on the Kaisa, 4, 0, and 3 deals more than enough damage to rip through Maple on the Swain, and now the scoreline is 7-7. It is Team Liquid that have priority on the middle lane.
And just remember, it was Maple that was forced to teleport into that river. Then he gets zoned away, loses his flash as well. Team Liquid will take the 4th tower of the game in a 4v5. Remember, they can still lose these. We saw it happen just minutes ago.
This whole game is a battle of the AD carries and how the team sets them up for success. If Betty is in a position to freely damage the front line, then he can be the one to win the fight. But if Doublelift can find his way onto the back line, utilize the mobility and power that he has on the Kaisar, he can be the one to dictate the pace and swing the fights in favor of Liquid.
Yeah, and something I'm looking a little bit more closely at Vedius is the side lane control that you pointed out. Team Liquid did a very good job throughout the course of the mid-game, and you can see Pobelta clears out bottom, Doublelift went to clear out top. Playing into now the Baron-empowered minions, it gets a lot more difficult, but Team Liquid are using the map very well.
Definitely true. And while everyone always focuses on the AD carries because they're the huge damage dealers, you know, the front lines then become equally as important with the crowd control to set these fights up. And we have to reiterate how important that ult from Smithy was. If you look at the goal, this Baron power play is going to be almost nothing from the Flash Wolves. They're trying to return to bottom lane to push now, but they've only got one more wave to push with. That might be enough for them to actually take the turret, as Team Liquid are a little bit slow in returning to defense.
Especially when you look at Betty, Essence Reaver, Rage Blade, Hurricane, and a pickaxe working towards that eye edge. And he just melted through that tower like a hot knife through butter. Flash Wolves back away. Okay, 45 seconds to Dragon. Exceptionally good vision in the right-hand quadrant of the jungle for Flash Wolves, and they're setting up for a potential catch.
Muujin just lying in wait, trying to use that pillar to catch an unsuspecting target out. Flash Wolves, the last time they were in this position, Pobelter was the guy that found the pick that enabled Team Liquid to stop Flash Wolves' push. And even though it has been Team Liquid that have been primarily on the back foot, they have been finding some successful fights. Outside of the Baron, ooh, Sword Art!
Well, Sword Art's going to get 3 shots. Yeah, Cathian Rain, not going to be enough to kill him. The exhaust saving Sword Art's life.
Yep, and that's just in time for a Dragon. 10 seconds left on this Cloud, and Team Liquid should have control. There's multiple recalls going off from Flash Wolves.
All right, this will reset that timer for Elder Drake. Once it is taken, there's no contest here by Flash Wolves. They'll concede this. 2 clouds and an ocean for Team Liquid. We are well and truly into the late game, and Team Liquid on the verge of something magical at MSI. After losing so many games, they need to win everything today to increase their chances to make it to Paris.
Truly the underdogs of this tournament, striking back now and putting you into a hopeful position, but Flash Wolves have been the ones to come out on top over and over so far here at MSI.
I mean, we had this discussion about Flash Wolves. They went 6-0, they were underestimated a whole bunch. They showed up, they were smashing the early game. Team Liquid found 1 or 2 good picks in team fights. It evens the playing field. How do Flash Wolves, how is their mentality affected? This team, this roster this year has only really known winning. And yesterday, the 2 games in a row, maybe they start to panic. Maybe the pressure of being the #1 team, all eyes on them, maybe it does start to get to some of these rookies.
I feel like exactly that quick shot. If it's going to affect anyone, it is the new players. Muujin, yesterday we saw that when it came down to the smite battles, he wasn't as successful as he has been when the team is clearly in control. And now you're reaching 35 minutes into the game. You've already said how we're in full late game, but this is where you rely on the stars in Betty and Maple. They have carried games before. They came close to winning the game against Fnatic yesterday, and if anyone will do it, it'll be these 2 veterans of the Flash Wolves.
He touched on Betty. He's got himself an Infinity Edge. So damage difference, somewhat negligible. Rapid fire cannon picked up for double lift. Here comes
Betty, look at Betty!
Betty's the target! Will be taken down! Shut down by double lift! Now Hanabi's trying to set something back. Forced to use that stopwatch, and he's going to be caught between a rock and a hard place. It's a double kill for double lift!
And they're going to race him towards the mid lane here. Flash Wolves are actually pushed out of zone control. Maple's the only one to get inside the base. Team Liquid full steam ahead.
100% kill participation for Team Liquid's double lift. They take down the inhibitor turret. The inhibitor will not survive much longer, and TL are now in control of the game.
The Baron is alive in 20 seconds. Still a death timer on top of Betty. Team Liquid find the perfect pick. They will secure so much control over the map, and now it is Team Liquid who are looking to end this game.
Betty had flash available, but it didn't matter. Team Liquid pounced on him so quickly. Impact starts it off. Smithy finished it up, and now they're looking for Muujin.
There we go, Flash net the grasp. Easy kill secured by Team Liquid. That means the smite is not in the pit. And Nabi is only respawning now, and look at how quickly that Baron is shredded, Vedius.
Team Liquid playing this game so well. Level 18 double lift. Let's see how they found this. Now, it's all about the positioning of Betty. No, he has his flash available, chooses not to use it.
Yeah, and after that moment, there is no recourse for Flash Wolves. The Kog'Maw is dead. There's no way they're getting out of this one, so they have to abandon Hanabi there in the middle, even with the stasis pops there, allowing Team Liquid control of the map.
You talked so much about the frontline Kobe and how impactful they will be. Impact landing that ultimate, Xmithy landing his ulti earlier on in the day. You have to give so much credit to these two tanks who then set up Double Lift to do what he does best.
And again, looking at the lineups here, so much more reliable is the Ornn ultimate in a team fight. And having something reliable to start out the team fight makes it so much easier for a Gragas player to follow up like that. Even just a slow landing, something like that, and splitting up the team really goes a very long way. Meanwhile, Flash Wolves, much more difficult for them to coordinate as far as their front line, focusing Double Lift.
Well, Double Lift 6-0 and 4, first professional game on Kai'Sa. And I don't think he's doing too shabby there, boys. 39 minutes in, still 2 minutes on the Baron buff. And looking at the mini-map, they catch some damage on Maple. Not going to be enough to follow up, protecting their banner-empowered minion. And will finally get taken down. I think that was a smite that finished it. Take a look at the engage. Here comes the barrel. That sends people sideways. Call of the Forge God. That is a zoning ultimate. A couple more hits on the tower is all it is going to take. But Hanabi is destroyed. Forced to flash away from the Void Seeker. And Impact's now going to go. He's taken out. Betty's turning one back. Double Lift gets feasted with the shield. The heals. He survives. That's a double kill. Chasing all the way forward. It's a triple kill. And Team Liquid, they're setting their sights onto the Nexus turrets. They've got the base broken open.
Double Lift is a monster as he secures a triple kill for Liquid, and it looks like the game.
Team Liquid keep their hopes at semi-finals alive.
4 victories for Team Liquid, and they're not even done with the day.
Watching the celebration on Team Liquid's face, a hard-fought victory.
Look at the reaction. Every victory previous to this at MSI, Team Liquid have been calm, just pull off the headsets, but immediately after this one, jump out of the seats. They can't wait to shake the Flash Wolves' hands.
And Double Lift secures himself an unofficial penta at the very end as well. Such a good performance from Team Liquid. The pressure gets put onto Fnatic as well, as Double Lift and Team Liquid still hold their fate in their hands.
Finally, we see the smiles come out from this teammate. The mental state has been such a discussion. What a success there.
The smiles, Double Lift and Ole side by side after a phenomenal performance. Look, they win the game, it looks amazing right at the end. But that was 30+ minutes of playing from a deficit, of Xmithy being behind. And it was engages from Xmithy and Impact that set Double Lift up to drive it home.
And again, we bring up poise in international games, in high-pressure situations, set behind in the early game, but they were not phased, and they were able to regroup and reset the entire game state. Just can't be said enough right now for Team Liquid. They're incredibly happy about that one.
2 gigantic things are now on the cards. Number 1, Fnatic or TL that much closer to that 4th and final seed. One of them makes it, one of them doesn't. On the other end, because Flash Wolves have now lost 3 games in a row, Kingzone's chances of taking the number 1 seed from groups have also just jumped a large amount. Kingzone, RNG, and Flash Wolves all within touching distance of that first place seed, and we still have 3 games to go.
Are you telling me that we're likely going to see tiebreakers today, Quick Shot?
Oh, God, I hope so. It would be amazing, because this may just be the most competitive group stage at MSI that we have ever had, and it is coming down to the 3 final games, and that is, it's mind-boggling.
Yes, it certainly is. And
I don't have the words.
It could be EU versus NA once again to determine that final spot. Let's not forget G versus TSM last year.
Because I'm so animated and excited, I actually jumped the gun. We have a standings graphic that I definitely want to pull up and show you guys at home. Just to really drive home. Look at this. 6-3, 6-3, 6-3. Head-to-heads, tiebreakers, the last 3 games come into play.
Said like a true man who has lived under the reign of SKT forever. This is such a new experience.
What, and you haven't? Kobe, where were you living, my friend?
I completely am right there with you, my friend.
So there's 1 game left for everyone.
Yes.
Fnatic, arguably, given that they will be going up against EVOS, are the heavy favorites to secure themselves to 5-5, and Liquid, the pressure will be on them later on in the day as they go up against RNG, who they have beaten before, but is still, based on RNG's performance, a monumental task.
And then what about Flash Wolves versus Kingzone, Kobe?
I'm excited for every game, honestly.
Well,
pull one out of the hat.
Okay,
I'm ready
perfect.
to go.
Well, there's 3. We're going to watch all 3 backstage. We're going to head for more to talk to Shox, who's standing by with Ole.
Thank you very much, guys, here with the victorious Ole. Indeed, congratulations. I saw you guys hugging each other, just being so incredibly happy to win this game. What does it mean to win this game for you guys, and how do you feel?
My feeling is finally double lift Ole for their comeback. And yeah, I feel really great, but I can't be hyped because we have still one more game left. So.
Yeah, you still have to play some games. You talk about Doublelift. He has been playing phenomenally. Is that the focus also that you are going to keep going on the next couple of games, putting all the resources into Doublelift?
Actually, we have many ways to play, but I think when I play good enough, like Peter played really well, but the thing is, like, first day I didn't play well, so Peter didn't shine. So I was focusing on myself, and then when I play good, or so-so, and Peter just played really super well.
Then he plays really well, like in this game. Ole, you mentioned yourself and kind of that first day that was so up and down. How would you say your mental state is now? How confident do you feel going into the rest of the day?
Actually, the first game, first day, I thought our team was really strong. Our team gonna win on stage because our scrim was going really well, but it didn't really go well as our scrim. So. Yeah, after we lost, I realized my statement is not good, really. So for my team, I think I have to decide something. So I asked our coach, maybe I want to take a break. And yeah, I think it's going well.
They went better in the end. Now you guys seem on form. This is a Team Liquid that people want to see. So tell me, what is the most important thing for you guys going into that game versus RNG later that will decide so much?
I think if we beat RNG, I will feel like we deserve to go French. So I don't really think about Fnatic lose to Evo somehow. I don't care. I just want to prove our team is strong. Then I want to know our team deserve to go French or not.
I want to see that you deserve it. You also wanted to say something to the fans. Go ahead.
Hello, my fans. I'm sorry that I didn't play well and I took a break. Maybe it's not professional. But yeah, I had to do that because I was really nervous so much. So please believe in us, and we will do much better.
Okay. There we go. They believe in you. Thank you very much, Ole. Congratulations. Team Liquid is on a roll. Let's see if they can keep it going. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Shocks. They're alive. The hopes for North America remain as Team Liquid with just an insane comeback victory here over Flash Wolves, who slide to 0-3 in their most recent games, but a disastrous early game with a first blood handed over to Mujin early, and yet the recovery comes through off of the back end of Doublelift's play.
And the thing is that this series was literally a series of inches. Now, yes, Xsmithy did make a poor call, thinking that he had time to not only do the red buff, but also reach for the Raptor camp when he was delayed, and it just puts him in such a hole to climb out of, but he managed to climb out of it.
Yeah, it got so much worse after that, too, because then he lost his blue, then on the next spawn of his red, he lost it. On the next spawn of his blue, he lost it.
He was screwed.
The logic of that was for Team Liquid to split the map and be able to have better control over Doublelift. It backfired terribly because he never should have gone for the Raptors. And listening to Azael, where NA fans constant pessimists during that game, it should have been over.
Yeah. Oh,
MSI was over, they're gone, but heroically, I feel like they made a lot of plays down the stretch, and I think Flash Wolves did not rise to the occasion in a game they should have won.
They definitely didn't. I mean, it's pretty insane, like all the kind of dominoes that fell after that mistake, and I think, you know, going for Raptors is maybe okay, but then he sees Trundle in the mid lane, walking slowly through mid lane, does not respect that, dies. Not only does he die, he gives up his flash, and when I was looking at this draft, I'm like, okay, you need to have a strong early game, probably here from Smithy. You know, the Trundle versus Gragas matchup, generally Trundle is going to have a lot more value later unless you can have these incredible casks, and instead there's this tragic early game, but Smithy did more than make up for it later on. You know, it wasn't just Doublelift, it was the playmaking, I think, of Smithy that was huge.
That said, game of inches. We saw it even in the mid lane, right? An attempt to stop the Rift Herald spawn from Xsmithy, nearly getting it, but because of the miss, more advantages falling in favor of Flash Wolves.
That was a math equation is what it was. Like, how quick is the Rift Herald going to be spawned versus the cask flying through the air? And if that doesn't go down, they still have all those towers in the mid lane.
Yeah, 29 minutes in as well, they lose a Baron. Like, we're going to keep showing these clips, and this is a team where their support benched himself earlier on, like 3 days ago. We're talking about mental resiliency and whether or not you're tilting. This team seems to have just magically solved all of those issues because they did not tilt. After when they peel from Baron after getting a pick, it's a 5v4 they end up losing. They give away the Baron, but it just didn't stop them.
And it's such a high pressure situation time and time again. But again, the grit, the resilience, I use this word a lot in the LPL when I look at certain players like Uzi, you know, never giving up, like Clearlove, having that resilience, it's heart. And when I look at someone like Doublelift, I can almost just see, like, the fact that all of the resources are on him, the fact that he gets the Kaiser, the first time he's ever shown it competitively at MSI. Undoubtedly, it's gotten through scrims, but the fact that he just stood so tall, he had the heart, he didn't come here to compete, he came here to win. We say it all the time about his international events, and he put it all on the line.
I mean, you talk about you know the heart of a competitor, the drive of a champion. This guy has been around and at the top of his region since 2011. You do not stay as one of the top players in your region for that long if you are not ridiculously motivated. The amount of effort, the amount of stress and heartbreak you have to go through and to overcome that and still be able to perform. I mean, this is probably the best international performance he's ever had in his career, you know, 7 years in, and it's incredible to see.
Exactly that, and talk about a defining moment for your career, right? You have to believe that in that game, Doublelift asked for it. In that moment when the team is on the back foot, he says, all right, guys, it's do or die time, and I'm going to be the one to lead the charge. Put your faith in me. I'll carry you to the finish line. That's exactly what happened in the preceding team fights after that unfortunate Baron.
And then huge credit to his teammates. If you looked at their comms, there was never a point where they shut down, where they stopped talking to each other. Pobelter was caught off into the side. Xmithy had a fumbled early game, but they stayed to the course.
Yeah, and just look at the team composition. Ornn, Gragas, Malzahar, and then a Shielder. It's 3 CC bringers, and then your hyper carry. I think the champion for Team Liquid's strengths and your win condition is actually so incredibly narrow, but they stuck the landing throughout this. And I'm so interested in what's going to be able to happen next, because people tend to only remember the final results of all of this. They need to carry this momentum through so much further. Uzi is going to be up next, but it was an amazing game.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a huge matchup to close out the day for Team Liquid. We have some time to wait before that, and for Team Liquid, they've got some time to maybe compose themselves, because I'm sure the adrenaline is running insanely high at the moment for this squad.
Based on the final fight, too. Because the last time Doublelift had a big final day of group stage international moment where he could kind of make or break, you just remember him running face first into a victor and getting one shot.
Yep.
So how long does that take to kind of get out of your brain?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
a year. Or
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
And at Worlds, he got a ton of criticism as well. Everyone's asking, you know, where are the Doublelift flashes? Well, he was saving them for this tournament because they have been on point.
That's what he was. For Flash Wolves, though, too, we have to talk about the slide here just real briefly to close out the segment. The 0-3, of course, they're still trying to hold on to that top spot.
And I do want to kind of put a magnifying glass over Flash Wolves' draft phase. This is now 2 games in a row, or not in a row, but 2 games now where they've let a signature pick go through. Against RNG, they gave away the Kaiser and they got smacked by it. Against Team Liquid, we've talked time and time again about the Malzahar pick. And yeah, the Kaiser went through, it was Doublelift that ultimately carried on it, but why give Pobelter his best performing champion of the tournament? I just think they're overlooking this.
Shaping up to be a crazy day. After the break, Fnatic look to answer Team Liquid's win as they face off against EVOs. First, though, let's see how the French casters are preparing for the knockout stage.
Welcome back to the MSI 2018 group stage and our very next match, Europe's Fnatic versus Vietnam's EVOS Esports, a nail-biter to be sure. My name is David Victorly, joined here by Chris, Papa Smithy Smith, and Martin DeFiscio, looking off to the far right. Gentlemen, are you ready? This match is so important for Fnatic.
I'm so nervous, man.
You
should be, but I'm feeling blessed because I think we're guaranteed tiebreakers. We're all about the end of the group stage. So much on the line, and no closer to knowing either top 4 and whoever's at the top either.
And we have to remember, EVOS, they don't play for anything. They're just playing spoiler right now. They can go in with whatever pick and ban phase they want, play whatever playstyle they want. Fnatic have everything to lose. They set themselves in such a good position, if we go back a few days, to actually make it into top 4. But if they lose here, there's a chance they don't even make it.
Yeah, right now, Fnatic and Team Liquid are the two teams battling for 4th place, and they both sit at 4 and 5. Fnatic playing EVOS right here. Of course, EVOS have lost a lot of games in a row, whereas, of course, Team Liquid have a much harder opponent later on when they play World and Never Give Up, and how those matches fall will determine if it was a tiebreaker or an automatic seed for 4th place.
And we should definitely rewind to how Fnatic versus EVOS in the first round, Robin, when that was all about the split push from Stark, not on his usual Ornn duty. He was the one that delayed that game, delayed the finish by Fnatic for over 20 minutes with smart split push play.
Yeah, it was really hard to deal with. They needed Caps in the end to start playing 1v1 against him and actually win that one. They almost lost the game multiple times, both at Baron and also back at their own Nexus. But this game here, Camille is still left open. Teams have also figured out that if you ban Tristana, you greatly reduce the champion pool of Reckless from 2 to 1, and that is what they're going for.
Trundle right off the bat. That Sivir is still available, the one you're talking about that Reckless plays so much, his most played of MSI so far. VCS's turn, EVOS Esports. Can they double their wins here at the end of the day? This will be, no matter what, their last game of MSI 2018. They will be heading home after this one to prepare for the summer split and maybe get back into Worlds. I'm going to say maybe an Ezreal here for a Slay early on, and now a second pick.
A lot of power picks for the tournament are left open, but power picks for EVOS in particular, that's where those things might disagree. Usually they've needed a combat advantage on Yijin. The Graves and the Kha'Zix have that against the Trundle. The Skarner is a bit of a different flavor. He can skirmish early. It's more about the early impact of that first ult.
And here we go. The Sivir gets locked in right away. No one at all is surprised by this champions.
Miles shock.
Wow, Reckless on his absolute comfort right here in probably the most important game he's played so far today. You could argue the ELCS finals, but now at this point, of course, yeah.
I mean, once you've then won the EU finals, the next step is MSI. And if you are Fnatic, the goal, of course, is to go to top 4 after you win a bunch of games and you actually look really good with some very creative mid lane picks. They actually went away from it yesterday, tried to put caps back on Yasuo earlier, but that was, of course, banned away in this one.
I mean, they acquitted themselves very well this tournament. In general, I think Fnatic caught a lot of people's attention, had a lot of individual outplays. It's probably a career-building tournament for Caps, but kind of like what you're suggesting, the magnifying glass on Reckless a little bit. When fully set up by his team for success, he hasn't really stepped up. But as a secondary carry, he's been very good.
Very, very true. But one of the problems for them with the Tristana and the Sivir is that it's a slow AD carries. You know, 3 item AD carries before you really start being very impactful in the games. So a lot of the other teams that can play things like Israel, as we see here.
Yep, 2-item spike.
Yeah, exactly. 2 items. They can start being really, really useful. And then Fnatic have to actually play pretty disciplined and play pretty clean in the mid game to simply avoid the enemy team from getting big advantages. And we saw against Team Liquid yesterday, they were not able to do that. They lost every objective possible and got set almost too far behind.
And we're seeing here as the picks and bans come through, EVOS having more early game power as well. The Morgana for the support lane. We see what that 2-on-2 is in the bot lane. You expect Ezreal Morgana to have the advantage there. They keep Reckless under his turret, and that can help Yijin navigate his jungle as well on the Skarner. Can be a very fast clear and can get a lot done. Maybe even an early Drake or something in this game.
Now we need EVOS to select 2 solo lanes. One of them will be the first pick on the red side. They've banned away their own comfort of Stark jumping onto the Ornn. Does suggest a top lane counter pick, but then the mid laner will be left a bit more exposed. When they've had to blind pick mid lane, it's been the Cassiopeia that can certainly be preyed upon. Very interested to see which lane they actually blind pick in this case.
I mean, there's still things like Malzahar that they could actually take for Warzone. We've seen a lot of teams find success with it if they don't play around the mid lane very often, but this is going to be Stark blind picking the Gnar on his side. Makes it a little bit safer, I feel, for Fnatic. They don't have to fear that Gnar is just going to finish the game in a side lane. Oh, let's see.
Whippo looking at Aurelia to counterpick Gnar with. 10 seconds to go until he's forced to lock in his champion. And still looking at something very spicy. I do want to see what actually comes through here. Some smiles from Reckless. Gangplank, okay. And it's interesting because we have seen both sides of this matchup considered positive. Gangplank going to have to be withstanding damage, but should outscale and do plenty of damage later on.
It did evolve into being a net positive matchup for the Gangplank as the season went on, at least in the LCK, as we got better and better at delaying, at getting through those awkward early levels. The Rageblade Gnar, actually, at 2 items, has a lot of threat onto Gangplank, so the build coming through from Stark will be interesting, and no surprise that when it comes down to blind picking a mid laner, Caps goes something that has worked previously in the Zoe.
And something where he can really carry. I think that's the most important thing for Fnatic, and something they realized today after the Karma pick yesterday. They need something where it's Caps who can be a huge, huge playmaker. We get that Cassiopeia. You highlight just before here, Papa Smithy. It has been a go-to pick for Warzone, but rarely very effective.
Now, the thing about it, though, is they've had to blind pick it very early just to pick it up at all, and they kind of had drafts fall around them where Cassiopeia had to deal with the threat of an Aura, and they had to deal with a lot of other factors that kind of took away the advantage of her in the lane. In terms of the lane here, we actually have a volatile one against the Zoe.
Zoe, Cassiopeia going to be a pretty big one there. Of course, Cleanse on Cassio, no surprise, get around those bubbles, but without a blink on the kit, Pillars are still very good crowd control. The chase down could be had. Keep in mind, we've seen Skarner get some really good ganks off into a Zoe as well. No natural escapes there either. As you mentioned, a volatile lane. Warzone said he wanted to come to this tournament and prove his dominance, knock everyone else's teeth out. Mr. 1,000 push-ups himself. And, well, in his last game at MSI, he's up against maybe the best performing mid laner in the tournament in Caps, who had looked so good for so long. And now Fnatic at 4 and 5 need to build some space above Team Liquid to make that run to the top 4 better.
That is the important thing. If Fnatic lose and Team Liquid win later today, Fnatic will drop out and will not make it into the playoffs.
And they will only have themselves to blame. They certainly have on paper the easier opposition. Right on the last day, last match of the tournament, scheduled at least, it is Team Liquid against RNG, who are in fantastic form.
Fun one to watch. So final time these coaches shake hands, final time these two teams will play at MSI 2018. We will bid adieu to EVO's Esports, and Fnatic hope that will not be the case for them. Broxa, one of those players who have kept them in this tournament. Those Baron steals against Flash Wolves were mandatory to win that game yesterday. And let's see if it's up to him once again as we get onto the Rift.
Let's check the level 1 here. We've seen Fnatic with some good aggressive ones, and we also saw them actually give up first spot against Team Liquid yesterday, very early on in the game. Crucial for Fnatic and their confidence in this game that they don't fall behind very quickly.
And the evolution of the level 1's has been super fun to track. Yesterday, we were seeing so many 1-minute 30 invades just as a buff was about to show up from game 1, where Peanut and friends jumped over and killed MLXG at his blue. So just because there's a defensive fan at 50 seconds doesn't mean the action isn't about to ramp up.
I also really want to follow the bottom lane because there's so many eyes on Reckless specifically and his overall performance. It's been tough for him. It's been very hard for him to do well in the laning phase. A lot of times he had to concede a lot of pressure and see the enemy AD carry just smack away on his turret and fall behind in CS. This is again against a double range lane. And there's also that TP on Slade to just instantly get him back in lane after first back. That is a lot of pressure coming from EVO's side.
Slade gets a free ward thanks to Kleptomancy, so it's a little division down with his trinket at the beginning, but can certainly keep track of everything else. And Brox actually will be forced to kite away this early invasion from EVO's. Temporary 3v2, now 3v3 as Reckless rejoins, and they're going to say, you know what, afraid enough of this one. They're going to let this one go back to Brox, and he will get his red without too much more difficulty.
Oh, EVO's actually gambled on Broxen not starting on that red buff, seeing as they didn't even want to fight over anything. Level 1, you don't want to deal with GP. He can actually deal a lot of damage to you, but on the return, sadly, for Whippo, there's, of course, a range advantage for Stark.
With Grasp, it makes it pretty nice. You heal, you do extra damage in those Qs. It's pretty easy to stay in combat. Once again, just lots of Grasp procs in a row, and Stark forced to leave his own lane. Oh my gosh, Whippo doing beautifully here in this matchup.
Very awkward that he's being chased out at level 1. Now, because it's not Klepto, the profit margin's a bit lower for the Gangplank. He hasn't invested in quite the same stocks that we usually see him in. But lane control as a GP, such a big thing as the game goes on. And Caps doing a bit of a scouting mission of his own.
Yeah, I think he knows that Yijin had to start on the bottom side after that late invade. And if we can walk in, not being afraid of a jungler. Brox is already killing his blue buff and now, and he will be double buff, potentially looking for an invade.
And this does mean that Fnatic in general will have a lot of information about where Yijin is going, having seen the camp hasn't been started topside. They know he's bot side the map. So right now, when it comes to Broxer, he has so many different options because he knows exactly where Skarner is.
And Bop, Warzone loses a bunch more health right now, and this is looking like a very good game for Fnatic, who did get knocked down earlier today, but this wouldn't be great for them.
Exactly. I think just the best thing, you ignore champions. Actually, I see top lane.
Yeah, damage on the start. Of course, Hop is there, but it's going to be a long cooldown, but still has to keep forfeiting CS, maybe even sometimes experience. And either way, Gangplank getting a free lane, always a nice thing to see.
Brox also is waiting for the next wave that Caps can push into the turret, and then he can go in towards the red buff, so Caps can always roam with him. Just making sure you're maximizing your mid laner's experience and not forcing him to instantly leave. Yijin is on his way.
And speaking of roams, Reaper would also have priorities. He's pushing in a big wave. Yijin finally gets here, doesn't see the red already taken. Broxer will get out.
He was rushing to get there too. He popped Predator to leave the base faster and still couldn't find his own red buff in time. And now Broxer kind of battle for this one. A defensive controller to make sure he can farm this. And okay, Brox will only look mid, looks to the pillar on the Warzone here, gets up the slow. Now Cap's gonna look for that sleep, gonna find the damage output, gonna be knocked down with the ignite. First blood is in, delayed the flash so long and still gets killed off.
Yeah, felt like he should use the flash earlier, but wanted to conserve the longest summoner. Well thought out by Caps and Brox, and I love Broxer on the front foot. From going top to chunk out the Gnar, guaranteed to have first rotation of top lane and mid lane when he went for the red buff steal and then the successful gank, but this is a greedy back.
It's a little risky. Yijin can flash onto him if he lands the E.
I don't think he wins. Yeah, of course he wins, sorry. I'm trolling on the health bar right there. For some reason, I put the health bar on Yijin. It's like, oh, he has 5 HP, be careful now.
Well, he didn't think he was going to win because he didn't go for it.
No, that's true.
He just backed away and stopped the recall, so Caps is still in the lane. For now, let's see the replay once again. It's so important for Fnatic that not only does Broxer get a good start, but also he gets Caps rolling. Gank in, and here, of course, as you guys highlighted, Warzone could have instantly flashed the pillar. Tried to be cheeky, I guess, and get a bit of damage down. Caps, be careful.
Wants to jump right back away and walked forward on the Miasma, then flashes back over to get some distance. Of course, that was the Spell Thief flash, so not a huge cost to him.
It must have been related to item costs for how long he delayed his back. It's a very greedy back from Caps, so have it interrupted again. Could have shopped at any point after Warzone was forced out of lane. But obviously an item timing like the Lost Chapter was keeping him in lane.
Yijin does get a camp for himself and steps away. Obviously, as I wanted to mention earlier, I think the fact that Fnatic gets Caps on a skill matchup and on a champion where there's so many things you can do if you're mechanically very gifted against Warzone on another very aggressive pick in Cassiopeia and not just a simple, you know, push lane and roam champion is really big for Fnatic player versus player wise. But Warzone is going top now.
Push to the roam here. Wepple's going to land the Q. He's pretty far up, but Stark is low. Here comes the attempt. Good flash gets away from Miasma, but the chains for the jump is going to be there. Warzone can keep the chase down into the turret. Goes for a bit more damage. Now has to pull back. And Whipple manages to run away just for the flash.
He managed to make the champion a push in roam champion, but they can't get the last auto to get the hyper proc and just don't have enough damage in the end to take him down. So pretty close shave there for Whippo, but given how much lane control he had over Stark, getting the flash down early might mean a wraparound when Skarner's ult's available.
And earlier we talked about how EVOS with the double range and the TPA to carry could get control of the bottom lane. They have already pushed it in now, so they can start that Ocean Drake. Despite boosting the fight in the mid lane, they still have control on the bottom side. Brox says
play
here.
Hop, yes, he gets the second bounce away. Now Stark might have to flash because this one Gangplank goes down for more slows, and Stark just doesn't have an escape. Broxa blocks that one out. Nice kill picked up 2-0. Fnatic traded though for the Ocean Drake in the bottom.
And Brox has been ahead of the play in both little micro interactions on his two ganks in a way that you cannot say EVOS has been able to be. Brox has really pulled these off very cleanly, even with the minions to hop onto. He was ready with the pillar.
Yeah, Brox has definitely been the most underrated player on Fnatic this tournament. He's had so many good early games. Now Caps will once again win the duel against Warzone, and this is why we talked about the difference in just pure player skill between the two guys and how this will benefit. Caps looking for another one.
Oh, the Drowsy could be a good setup, but the minions in the way. It's going to be hard for Caps to find damage. Q's going to come up, and just not quite in range for that one. That would have been a big chunk off of Warzone there.
I think it's very important for Fnatic to control the early game, because the mid game here, deceptively for EVOS, is, well, there's another long range Battlestar hits, a pick comp. Because if you think about how team fights will go, or when any sort of tete-a-tete 4v4 action happens, we're going to see the Black Shield on Skarner. He goes in, the Miasma either on top or behind. No one can join. One person will die to focus bar. So even though you see the traditional Zoe in a pick comp, I feel like EVOS actually has the mid-game pick comp on their side.
Yeah, and that's why I really want to see Yijin secure kill in the mid lane against Caps, where I just flash ulting onto him and then destroy him. The bot lane will keep pushing. That's going to be fine for them. They don't need Slay to win this lane harder. And here's the gank.
Just like you asked for, Deficio.
Isn't slept, and here comes the suppression, and they're not quite going to get the stun from Cassiopeia, but there's still no out route for Caps taken off. And finally a kill on the board for Evos.
And this is perfect, because you know Caps is going to push forward. You know he's looking for the trades. Just punish him, start getting some control in the mid lane, and then you can actually move towards the bottom side later and secure first turret.
And when we did see Skarner versus Zoe in the meta earlier in the season over in Korea, the QSS timing was something we would always be very close at watching. We saw players pick it up even before a Lost Chapter or a tier as the meta evolved. It's been delayed here, and that's a very big invitation for Yujin to come basically every time as Impale off and pick up a kill.
Oh, Stark now spotted here. Again, it's going to be a quick pillage. Jumps over, but he's still in range of Whipple for a lot more damage. King's Tribute in there as well. Flashes for distance. How about this barrel chain? Who's going to land that one? Not going to get him with the explosion. Stark gets away, but burns the flash for it.
This time, no Gangplank ultimate. This time, not quite enough damage. Thought with Stark so low on the Narbar, there was a chance that perhaps he could be taken down. Not to be. Top side has been an area controlled a little bit, you'd say, by Broxah, but this red buff will be taken by Yujin.
And now we want to see Yujin go towards mid again. He didn't use Flash last time. It is available for him to go in once the ulti is ready, and Caps obviously doesn't have a QSS this early on, so there's really no way for him to avoid the gank.
He's pricing himself into what looks like probably a Ludens. This is his first item. Quite a lot of gold from here. We'll see if he does disrupt with the QSS. If not, like we already both mentioned, Deficio, go mid every time the Impaler's up should be a kill.
Oh, nice easy juke by Slay. Hillsong didn't know he was on a ward. Honestly, I respect making the attempt. Morgana was far, but easy to juke that when you see it coming.
So for Reckless, we often see this like a lot of backs early game. He wants the tier 2 boots instantly for more attack speed and movement speed. And then he even went back and got a few long swords. Let's see Fnatic. It is just Broxah moving down at the moment. GP ult is ready.
And he is spotted, of course. There's that ward not spotted by the trinket, or it's not spotted by the control ward. So no gank to be had.
And again, maybe just coming back to Reckless and the Sivir pick, you mentioned already, it's about how many items you load onto carry and how long it takes to build. Speaking to a lot of AD carries around this tournament, they say, hey, if it's more than a Rage Blade or a tier item, it's too late in the game. And that's something that's a reason why we're surprised to see the 3-item Sivir as Warzone.
Forced to cleanse yet again. Caps is really doing a good job outplaying here in this lane, despite the fact they split kills.
Keeps trading forward. Yujin is moving into mid.
Oh, no cleanse for this one. Can Caps get the damage? How about flashes in for it? But, oh, no, blocks some damage. Gangplank coming in to join this one. Now Caps, can he make the outplay? The heal comes in. The suppression onto the turret in Warzone. Gets the poison for the kill. And now the re-engage of Stark is roamed down. Broxah does not have flash to get out. He's going to be slowed several times. Hopped on as well. Another stun comes in, and he just does not have the way to escape this one. 2 kills come through for Evos Esports.
We have to remember, Caps swapped out his Ignite for a teleport right here, so when he jumped in, I think maybe he was expecting a little bit more burst to come from his champion, but there was of course no summoner to be added onto it. GP did come down towards the end, but Warzone just managed to sneak around and stay alive. Big win for Evos.
Yeah, no proto belt to be picked up like Maple yesterday to get the extra burst. They can't quite take down the mid lane turret, which really would have isolated the Zoe from having an impact on the lane. If they can get a turret down, they've got the TP AD carry. They're going to have so much map mobility. Almost disaster for Fnatic.
And this is why we just want to see Yujin play around this mid lane, because Caps will keep doing this. Jump forward, takes the trade. Now he's expecting that he can actually destroy Warzone with everything landing onto him, but the GP comes down, Warzone flashes away from it, and he's just missing a tiny amount of damage because I think the Corruption Potion was running the entire time for Warzone.
It's at home. Pop your potions. Always good piece of advice for solo queue. That is what saved him, no doubt, Deficio. Broxah walks in. He got the wrong RSVP that time. He'll go down. And Evos, with nothing to play for, but pride, are showing their pride is still intact.
And it would just sound like fair game, right? I mean, we think about the Europe and North America clash, which is what, again, Fnatic is playing for here. One of those 2 squads are going to make it into the top 4, and every time it's like, oh, there's that one upset loss the team got, and how much would it be fair game if Evos gets to split their wins against Europe and North America equally, and you know the battle ends up being a bit more fair between the 2.
I think it's a tough crowd to put that one to in this time zone, Freak, but I appreciate where you're going with the narrative.
The 7 Liquid fans up there.
You got a few.
Sorry, the 4 Liquid fans, even if the number isn't that many, you've got to fit the memes here. Either way, this is a close game between these squads. Evos now on a 400 gold lead, and this Drake now respawn. We'll see if they can keep that bottom lane control going.
And we haven't looked a lot at the top lane, even though we had a few ganks up there. Like, the GP is getting really far ahead if compared to Stark. And that's obviously a big thing for Fnatic to avoid Stark being that split pusher in the late game, like we saw in the Camille game last time these two teams played each other. Whippo's performance is crucial. Now he's back on a carry champion. Ocean Drake being started. GP ult is not available for a couple of seconds in case the fight breaks out, and Caps is actually back in base, so this should be free.
No ability for him to walk up. Slay has had priority in bot lane for the majority of it. That's what you expect before. There's quite a lot of AD loaded onto the Sivir. The second Drake, and now even more comfortable laning for Evos.
And this has actually been a problem for Fnatic, giving up a lot of early Drakes. Typically because they don't have a lot of bot side control, unless Caps is hard winning mid and then roaming to that bot lane. But this game, it's been focused on ganking top side for Broxah, so it's kind of left Reckless and Hylissang on their own. Oh, that's a big trade.
Yeah, Stark's at half HP right away, gets another barrel. Really well played by Whippo. The ulti onto the turret, looking for a bit more, now has to get disengaged. Of course, with turret aggro can't make that happen. Yeah, Stark walks in the lane and loses 2/3 of it.
Could have just teleported onto the turret, but the Black Cleaver may look cool in the inventory. We're going to get him nothing. He's already chunked out of lane. Whippo in a great spot. Because of the lack of Klepto, the CS lead isn't like we usually project when you see a 30 CS lead on the gangplank, but the Trinity Force isn't too far away.
I think it is a big thing, though, that Whippo used ult to try and 1v1 and force a flash. Now he doesn't have it for this bot lane play, and typically with GP, you want to actually save that ult so you can still add some global value for your team. Yijin seems to be around top side.
Mega Gnar ulti's gonna land. There's looks like no oranges yet. Flashes gets hit, but this one here comes a suppression. And the 2v1 is gonna be too good. Evos gonna grab another kill in a row, picking up kills across the map.
How those Predator junglers rolls in like Aramis. I was waiting for the oranges, but they were not gonna save him through this. They can get a lot of damage done with the Black Cleaver and the fresh shop that Evos have already had here. Maybe first turret blood on the top side unless Caps spares their flushes.
They're on their way to try and stop it now. Caps not sitting on a lot of mana. Will probably just force Evos away. Can hit Stark? Nope.
Not gonna Rousey just yet. Looking for the big Q. Pillars there to help the setup. And now with not a lot of escape tools left, no flash, no Narvar. Caps goes in, has a Chilling Smite to send for a little bit more of a slow, and that will be a trade kill. Fnatic finally answer back.
The Caps had actually picked up the Predator on the way to get there quickly. We're seeing another map play happen, though. So probably gonna have to vacate the bot side as Cassio's joining bot.
And Fnatic's missing that GP ulti now for the bot lane, so there's no way for him to really stop Evos from going in and actually taking down the turret. They're still going to be first turret for Evos, despite them not getting a top. Well, they had that bot lane pushing in. 170 CS for this Ezreal in the early game. He's going to be massive in the mid game, and he's against a 3-item AD carry on the other side. So big difference between Slay and Reckless.
And to clarify what we mean about 3-item AD carries, needs 3 to turn on for the big power spike there. So Reckless will be troughed underneath this Ezreal for very, very long. You see, yeah, Broxah spent so much time ganking the rest of MSI. He's able to hand over the blue buff to Caps right now, and to be fair, Broxah is all the kills in the team. I don't think he's having a bad game for himself. But Yijin has gotten in for so many more right here without even dying as well, has really helped these lanes stay afloat.
And Yijin has had a lot of struggles recently, as early in the tournament when we saw the Kazakhs. There's the Predator I mentioned, was able to pick it up and actually chase this down. But Yijin suffering on the Kazakhs, not being able to pull that off. Some down performances recently. This time he's been around the right lanes. His lane ganks have been in the right spots, and that's allowed Evos to have a much stronger early game than some of their recent matches.
It is fun to see two junglers just try their best to snowball their lanes, seeing as we both with Broxah and Yijin constantly around looking for something. Meanwhile, it is Slay with the red buff now going to top side. Fnatic cannot really do anything against him 2v2, so they're trying bottom side.
Gnar gonna look for Hylissang, not quite gonna grab a good walk back, and now a re-engage. Look at the front line. Is the burst gonna be there for Stark? Back to Mininar, the damage up from Reckless, and Broxah pick up one, and the disengage. Broxah no longer with turret aggro, seems okay. And now Yijin at only 600 HP, but will not be pushed anymore. The flash forward, Caps can't get away! He can't get away, the Twin Fang is gonna make it happen! Warzone on a killing spree!
They're actually able to pick up a kill. There was a misplay there. Yijin used his ult on the target that wasn't tanking the turret, and thus wasn't able to punish early. But nice roam again by Warzone. And the later pick Cassiopeia has been a lot more helpful as they're trying to chase down the Pirate.
Well-timed oranges barely even misses a beat here. Now Whippo, first run, but doesn't get the barrel this time around. The slow is going to come in from Ezreal, and Slay gets one, 6-4 Evos.
And Slay is going to get another turret as well for Evos here. They are just winning across the map. Fnatic did not get the bot lane turret because they had to run away after the minions died. There's so much pressure on the European team, and right now they're crumpling.
It's a sort of game where cross-map play should be lost just just by the virtue of Gangplank being in the game. But as you mentioned, Deficio, Rippo getting kind of greedy after being priced into an all-in because he got so much damage by the aggressive teleport from Stark. He used the ult there, and it could have been used so many times for minion waves cross-map since then.
Well, now you can see the state of the map. 2 turrets to 0, 2 Drakes to 0. The Rift Herald looks like it's going to be the target of EVOS as well here. A lot of pretty strong performers on this team. They've got to hold up for Stark, who's had a very rough laning phase. As you mentioned, the Gangplank tends to be a winner there, and a lot of pressure from Broxa, but EVOS overall winning pretty nicely here.
Yeah, if you're Stark, sure, it sucks for you, but you're going to click tap right now, and you're going to be oh so happy. 2 turrets for your team, your 80 carries now sitting on 2.5 items, 18 minutes in. Your mid laner picked up 3 kills. His life is actually great. This is not a good play on his side. That's why he dies, but the important thing is he actually killed the minion wave. And now, Fnatic needs to run away instead of getting a turret.
Also, really nice roam timing for Warzone, though I think has struggled recently in this tournament. He's so confident on the Cassidy. He wouldn't be blind picking it in so many games for no reason. Matchup, like we said already, was that volatile one into the Zoe, and he's certainly pulled it off so far. That's some nice burst onto Run OP.
Run OP gonna have to tuck his tail and run into that one. Down on 300 health right here, but Slay looking for a little bit of wave clear. They've got this Skarner nearby as well. He's gonna fall asleep. Will they find the re-engage? That answer's gonna be no. Fnatic gonna run away. And Slay feels confident, walks up, lands a couple of Qs in a Hillsong.
Oh, he's strong right now, level 12 on the Ezreal. I feel like we've said this a few times during the tournament, but right now, the win condition is caps. Because your 80 carry still needs 2 items. Oh, there we go.
God.
That's why it's Caps, who's the only member who can actually do this and try and force EVOS back. The GP still wants more time to scale, while Brox has picked up 4 kills, and it's great for him. He is mainly going to build to support the team on this Trundle. Caps is your main damage dealer, and as long as he can do what he's doing now, he can probably stall the game for Fnatic.
Well, they're going to have to do that for a while. Again, the power spike's different on these bot lanes. Maybe Whippo can find something good on the split push on Gangplank. He's certainly doing well gold-wise, individually up only 300 because of all the turret kills. He's got to still build up a bit more here. Cloud Drake going to be grabbed, no problems here for EVOS, just stacking these up. Our Baron's up in 8 seconds. And as EVOS are the team with map control, but only at 2,000 gold. Might take a while for that to be a major target.
Pretty tricky for Fnatic to re-establish map control. Probably need both Broxer and Hillsong to come down. You want to safely be able to put down vision, and that means they've been playing with a very narrow map, and Rift Herald's going to be summoned in the mid lane. One charge takes this turret down.
The charge is available, but not going to get a lot of damage across it. Yeah, it's based on its own health bar, and actually gets re-aggroed on a champion. Shelly is not going to touch a structure this time around. Nice play by Fnatic.
And he was also felt a little bit too confident there in the quick charge. Let's see if they can do something around the mid lane, around OP and Slay. Maybe, but it's like, fine, we have to do it ourselves, kill this turret. Another thing just to quickly highlight, because Fnatic are behind now, building a QSS is actually pretty difficult. It really delays your core build, and that means Yijin, with Flash soon and a Righteous Glory plus Predator, he will always get to a target, and that target can't get out of the ulti.
Timing for the QSS is always so difficult to choose. It's not clear, and Reckless has the spell shield, so he'll be able to dodge out of it. But the damage burden, like you highlighted, Deficio, is so heavily on Caps that it probably has to be after the next item, and that's the paddock for the Skarner to roam. Anyone he sees is free food.
A lot of space still for Fnatic to try to play for, as they do get a little bit of time and get a couple of wards around this Baron. Expect that to maybe be a likely objective in the near future, as the outer turret line is all gone. I want to see as EVOS what they can pressure for. They've got a lot of wards in that bottom jungle, actually, if they're looking for maybe that bot lane tier 2, but it's up to them what they want to play for.
Yeah, the only good thing for Fnatic is they can hold the Gnar very easily in the side lane. But the 4v4 is heavily in EVOS' favor. If they actually bait around Baron and just use it to click Righteous Glory on Yijin and rush at Fnatic once Fnatic show up, they should be able to get a fight and a bunch of kills. Like, if they play this correctly, they win this game.
And the timeline for that is probably when we see the Targon's brace into the ability to ward here with the quest completion on the Skarner, because then they'll be able to put down so many wards to make Fnatic accountable as they walk up to the Baron. And we already outlined that they have the mid-game pick comp. The Skarner rolls in with a Black Shield, the Miasma onto the target, onto the rest of the enemies, and the ability to split from the team. The damage will register with all the early gold that EVOS picked up.
And that relic shield is 2/3 the way towards quest completion, so Yijin is not that far away from having a sight stone in the jungle.
If we just pan up to the Baron, there is a tiny ward being placed behind it that's not being spotted. This one is actually the only thing giving Fnatic information on what's happening around the Baron. I think EVOS should have either use the sweeper in there just to check, or worst case, place their own control ward. For now though, Yijin is setting up for potential flank. This could still be huge for them.
Well, they find a slow on Abraxa. The chase in actually forces the flash to Abraxa, but now getting spotted out by Stark on the right-hand side and puts a bit of damage forward there. Pillar in the disengage. Yijin couldn't quite find his target, but Reckless, Hailsong, and Broxah now all missing flashes. No summoners burn for EVOS. Round 2 might look a bit better, but Slay is 1/2 for his health right now. Might have to back off for a while. Wait for this Ocean regen to kick in.
And the ward on the pit is once again the MVP. You want a control ward on the pit and then in front of it to stop anyone coming down. They eventually problem solve smartly there, EVOS. And now, as Fnatic, you don't have the luxury to be as far back.
And they don't really have anyone who fully wants to face check this. Like, Broxah will still die very fast against all the members. They're starting it now. Fnatic, they need to go in and stop this.
That's now both blue trinkets down. Can they find themselves to fight? Cannon barrages on into the front line. Look for Hailsong down to 1,000 HP into the front. The Trowsy, the pull back in though, and they get capped, but a huge barrel explosion. Can Whippo be the carry? Broxah certainly cannot. Hailsong forced to run. 2 kills already for EVOS. Another barrel. That one though, not a crit. Doesn't do quite the damage he needs. As turrets fall from minion pushing. Fnatic finally get one to the board out of mid lane, it looks like. EVOS, very, very low. 5 versus 3 on the map.
Ocean Drakes will start to spawn, and remember, there's still a threat on the back.
Good oranges.
It's just so hard for Reckless to push damage with no backline, and like you say, someone coming in to force them away.
Fnatic's base is to the bottom left. There's no easy way out. Whippo pretty much surrounded in this one. Doesn't get that barrel either. The slow, the Twin Fangs are in. The poison. The kill comes through for Warzone. TP in for Slay to rejoin.
And we see that fight here. We talked about how just start the Baron and turn for the fight. If you're EVOS, you're so far ahead. Your AD carry is already insanely strong, and Reckless only sitting on 1.5 items. Just not enough damage coming from his side. Only Whippo's big barrel actually did something.
So Caps wants to join this fight. 800 HP, not going to find the steal. Broxah nowhere near in range and gets spotted out for another kill. Now EVOS finds their 10.
From behind, it's so hard for Fnatic to do anything because Sivir usually does damage as a product to how strong her front line is. Her front line is very, very weak early in the game. They have to face out and give up their health bars in order to contest the Baron. Then Reckless is zoned out, and everyone on EVOS may be blinking, but still safe.
Yeah, so now he enters the fight here after the big hit comes in onto the back line, but there's just no time for Fnatic to really start hitting anyone.
Yeah, Reckless puts in, what, 3, 4 autos onto Stark. He never even gets a bounce onto anyone else because the health bars have to be sacrificed just to check the Baron buff. That's the reality of when this comp falls behind.
And the chase down, of course, there's so much to use. Even the Cloud Drake kicking in for a little bit as well. And not a lot people could have done about that one.
So Yijin looking for another one. Still only QSS on one member, which is, of course, the Braum. That means that both Caps and Reckless are fairly easy targets for Yijin. Caps actually currently sitting on Ghost on his side, so not even a flash to get away if anything should happen. He was still in full control. They have all the damage in their favor, and they have the engage.
Seeing them continue the siege here. Didn't see if Slay already had his Seraph's Embrace, but if he doesn't, he's so, so close. Only 26 minutes into the game.
There's a big chunk. Of course, you expect if Caps was 5-0 instead of 0-5, maybe Slay's at 10% for this one. Does get the poke to knock down that cannon minion, but it's not going to be enough. Turret will still fall. Sad for Caps, has quite a bit of deaths here. Of course, this team is still alive based on how Liquid plays later on today. Fnatic fans can still hold out hope, but EVOS looks like they are about to end their MSI on a win. They feel pretty good for their fans out here.
Earliest transformation of the tournament for this 3-item double tier upgrade on the Ezreal. Seraph's around 25 minutes here, which is insanely early. And a power that's loaded. He's got the defensive shield, 40% CDR. The damage doesn't need to be introduced, and EVOS continue to play the map, and Fnatic have to hope to playing one lane, looking for a turnaround. That's the best they can hope for.
They're hoping EVOS to stop pushing down and get an open inhib very quickly. That kind of is the last defend you tend to have. The moment these inhib turrets start cracking, it's just impossible for you because you have no way you can safely actually sit and defend. And suddenly you got to deal with super minions. EVOS, they have all the Drakes, which also means, worst case for them, if we do go past 35 minutes, well, their Elder Drake is going to be massive. And Fnatic's, just like yesterday against Team Liquid, it's going to be a useless Elder Drake.
And even before Elder, honestly, this is Not a bad Drake setup for what you're up against. Caps is going to get a lot of poke down. He's going to chunk Slay to, half HP, and then 3 seconds later, he's back up to a healthy threshold to keep fighting. So this actually lines up well with the game state.
I do want to note that Stark is building purely for lane here. Black Cleaver, Frozen Mallet, that's the standard now build for a long time. The Rage Blade third, your timing here is always up to be decided. With the Rage Blade, you have that Hyper and Mini-Gnar form proccing every 2 autos. You just kill Gangplank, and he hasn't gone for the very early Sterix gauge, so he cannot really enter lane, especially when that item is complete.
And this will be another game where all the European fans are going to look at the draft. And they're going to look at specifically the bot lane and this Sivir pick. And I think very few people are sitting at home right now thinking to themselves, this makes perfect sense. Of course you should pick Sivir here. He's the only AD carry doing it right now. Almost all the other AD carries are aiming for strong bot lanes where they can try and win or where they spike much earlier in the game. So when you have these moments where your mid laner maybe does not get ahead, your AD carry can then take over. But that's not happening for Fnatic, and that's why Yijin could just camp mid.
And early in the tunnel is saying, where is the Caitlyn? Another 3-item AD carry when it comes to really turning on Vindy Edge, Zeal, really getting there with a second Zeal item. That's a champion with an impressive laning phase, so you can kind of understand the introduction. Sivir has a passive laning phase and takes a lot longer to get online, whereas with Slay, it feels like every item that came in, he got immeasurably further ahead of this Sivir until 40 minutes in the game.
Mentioned some other AD carries like the Rage Blade ones, which are not being played by Fnatic. Kog'Maw, Varus, Kai'Sa, these kind of picks that we see a lot of other teams favor, because on one item, you can actually start dealing pretty decent damage in these fights here. But the situation is that Fnatic tried to get Caps and Whippo ahead, but Yijin, he said, nope, that's not happening. I'm going to gank those 2 lanes.
Yeah, it is an interesting story. MSI has been a tournament, it feels like, of teams playing their own styles to a certain degree, and some of them have worked out, and some of them, of course, have not. Fnatic, of course, still in that running for a playoff spot as we redirect to this game state as it stands. Baron buff has timed out. The outer turret line is gone, but inhibitor's yet to crack. We have seen Fnatic make some very big base defenses before. If Reckless does get to that 5, 6, sometimes even 7, and the way it looks like for him sometimes state, that is still a win condition in itself. And he's getting close to that one, honestly. There's only about 600 gold to go until he's online without IE, and suddenly he can start shredding champions.
Yeah, I would actually say it's the only win condition left, in the playbook for Fnatic. It is simply wait for Sivir to get her items and hope that EVOS cannot instantly grab the next Baron and use it to close out the game.
We can talk about what EVOS can do, but the problem here is for Fnatic, what can they do? Gangplank can't enter lane against Gnar. He's hit these 3 items that make him unassailable in a split push. The Zoe can't actually get enough setup to actually look for a trouble bubble because she's just dealing with minion waves. It doesn't feel like Fnatic can force anything more with EVOS. We've said from the mid game onwards with the Skarner, their force is ultra reliable.
It is, but there's about 1 minute until they've got to be able to, they'll be able to force something with this Baron, and that timing should line up with Reckless affording Infinity Edge. He's right at that mark, and if his team takes the CS from him, I think it's a misplay here. You can see that gold is very close. I think it's about 1,300 to finish IE from this state.
And then the important thing for Fnatic, and that's kind of the problem for a lot of teams if you fall this far behind, but the important thing is the next team fight you take, you cannot lose. If you lose that fight, game is done. And that's always the issue when you really fall far behind and use all the objectives, all the turrets, is that you simply cannot be allowed to make any mistakes, or the enemy team will just be so close to your base and typically so far ahead that you just end the game. And that's going to be the big question now. Can Fnatic perfectly execute the next team fight and actually take down EVOS?
Where the biggest gold lead is felt, around 4,000 gold between the 2 AD carries, and that's with a cheaper build on the side of Slay. So he's in a fantastic spot. Baron setup's been extended, it spawns in 15 seconds.
Yep.
Sneaking a ward in there, we see 2 blue trinkets, one of them on cooldown. We do see Sivir with another one.
So 4-item Ezreal, 3-item Sivir. This is now all about, as you mentioned, Bob Smithy, the Baron set up a duel in this side there right now. Stark's gonna outplay the barrels, and they're just waiting to rush the Baron. It's not even spawned yet, but now they're gonna go for it here. And Fnatic are so far away. They're going for a collapse on Gnar as the trade. A kill for Baron. This is certainly a positive trade for EVOS. Whippo gets the kill with help from Hylissang, but no one is around to stop this Baron. Onto the vision setup was too all-consuming, so Fnatic looking for what they can get secondarily. It's a kill and it's 1 turret.
Yeah, EVOS, they know there's still no QSSs on these carries, so if Fnatic shows up, we just grab them and kill them at the Baron itself, and that's why Fnatic decided to make the play against Stark. Now we have multiple lanes being pushed in, all the way down to the base of Fnatic with these buffed up minions. Gotta wait 25 seconds for Stark though.
Consolation prizes may be really all that Fnatic have to look forward to, and their fans as well. The kill there onto Stark, potentially a playoff game later today, depending on the result of Liquid versus RNG. Fnatic have had such a lot to cheer about this tournament, but now it's all about the clutch, and they were heavily expected to take down EVOS in this game.
Well, Slay has 1,080 damage ultimates, and now actually has a Gunblade to complete the nice little mix of this.
Okay.
Instinctively, I don't think I love it because he's got lifesteal already, but it is a nice damage spike and it's some crowd control to help dives, I suppose.
Yeah, and the AP also is useful with some of your scalings in there, but it feels like a win more item in this case for himself. But there is, of course, not a lot of tanks you got to get through it, so he doesn't really need a last whisper at least.
It's definitely something the Korean solo queue has been enjoying, who have insane life leech up abilities. We're hearing an ult.
Ooh, flash out from Ron OP. You can see that damage still there for Caps, and as we mentioned, Reckless is on 3 items as well. It's about how these team fights can be navigated. Certainly more gold, more items, and a buff on the one side. Finds Hillsong QSS out, but that's going to be the kill. He was isolated by himself fighting for wards, and the kill comes up for free.
Oh, that's a good start now. EVOS should be able to get into the base of Fnatic, knock down that first turret. Slay on his full build here. Can even jump in and take a few hits from the turret and just heal up on a single Q, smacking into a minion.
Taking a long time to bring out the side lanes.
Oh, the damage up, but now he might have to burn flash to get away. Caps wants to show up the pillar in there and has the cooldown reduction to come back over the wall, stays alive. Cannon Barrage gets some poke, but this is a 4v5 for Fnatic. You can see that damage not that high against Yijin. As the siege continues, his turret likely to fall. Stark splitting on the side, not yet found by Caps. He drops only a minion, and that turret's going to fall now onto the inhibitor. Fnatic will have to back away off this one. Give up one more part of their base. 5 seconds on the Hillsong respawn might signal the retreat for EVOS. They've got a Cloud Drake alive to stack 3 and 2. Or they might stay for the siege, but the health bar is a little bit lower. Stark only at 1/2.
No reason to back off. They keep pushing up. The damage not going through the tanks yet.
Oh, good Black Shield keeps towards an able to walk away cleanly. Slay almost finds it. Arkin shifts out and oh! Gets the damage over to find the kill. Hillsong dropping yet again. Still 5v4 now inside the base with the Baron buff on. And they've got time, about 30 seconds, 50 seconds of this Baron buff. Trade of spells, almost gets one more to pick off. And now look on the side lane, Whippo very low. Slay really playing aggressively onto this one, finds another Q, forces them back as the turrets are starting to fall. EVOS looking to end the tournament on a win. They've picked off Broxa as well. Only 3 left to defend Fnatic's honor, or they will drop to 4 and 6. The turrets are falling, one last hard engage as Whippo's forced to run onto the Nexus turrets. They're going to fall. They picked off almost everyone. Reckless alone with a single assist and no deaths, but his Nexus will fall, and that's the part that matters. EVOS find their second win.
And I'm giving my MVP to Yijin. Early game, there was a lot of pressure in the mid lane from Caps, but he knew, if I just go mid and stop Caps from getting far ahead, then the rest of Fnatic's comp is scaling. The GP top lane and the Sivir bot lane. So when he shut down that mid lane with Warzone, it bought so much time for EVOS to suddenly start taking control off the map, and they used that very effectively to then continue snowballing.
And their execution against Fnatic 2 times. The first time in the split push, not to a victory. This time in the poke comp in the mid lane. Like you mentioned, Yijin, whose mentality had to be in shatters after the last couple of performances where he was really disseminated by enemy junglers. They all reload, they all say it's all about just this game, and then we go home. They go home with a victory and a bit more pride.
And we see another Israel game where you get to that mid game, you get your 2 items, and you just start making plays around it. He took down the outer turret, and the first big team fight around the Baron was huge for EVOS. He also ended up the game here on the Israel from Slay's side, dealing 25k damage, which if you look at Warzone on the Cassiopeia, he did 9k. Huge difference between the AD carries. Reckless sitting on 11 on his own side, so he never got online. He got to 3 items when the game was basically over.
Yeah, and the really sad thing about that is I don't think Fnatic ever got the chance to play a real team fight. Hillsong got picked off before the middle inhibitor went down. Then they fight for the top inhibitor when the health bars are already low, and yet again, off in the side lanes. Slay makes really big plays, and the Ezreal actually finds an isolated 1v1 and able to kite it back, so I really do like how he played it on the Ezreal. Also, of course, mistakes from Hillsong.
And the standings implications are so large now. North America really could make that surprising run and actually make it all the way to the top 4. A date against RNG, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, Fnatic are going to be RNG's biggest fans right now. They have to beat Liquid, otherwise Liquid take the spot with a win. Either way, we're going to head now down to the State Farm Analyst Desk for more on that game.
Thank you very much, Freak. With no chance at the semifinals and with only pride to play for, EVOS come out and they hand Fnatic a loss here to make things even more interesting heading into the final stretch of the day. And I mean, again, EU fans are going to stand aghast at how this happened.
I don't think they wanted it to be this interesting.
No, I can confirm that they didn't want it to be that interesting.
But huge credit to EVOS right there. And it wasn't just the fact that it was Stark again, because Stark actually got shut out quite early on in the Gnar. He was
slammed.
Exactly repeatedly ganked, put onto the back foot, but Slay now having his time to really shine. I know that Deficio highlighted Yijin down there in the jungle, but for me, it was all about that Ezreal.
We keep seeing Fnatic jump out to these good mid and top side advantages early on in the game. And right at the very start, there was actually a failed invade when EVOS was trying to split the map that set their jungler behind. The first kill went over to Fnatic. It looked like it could have been one of those games where they just steamroll EVOS, but the lack of pressure that Fnatic has been able to generate in the draft bottom lane, like there's no way Sivir Braum actually beats Ezra Morgana, really cost them because they weren't able to play a pressure draft. It simplified Skarner. He just had to go mid lane and gank Caps, who was not respecting the Skarner, and they completely lost control of the game.
And I think that not respecting the Skarner was such a key part for me because it's fine if your bottom lane doesn't have pressure. When Gangplank is slamming a Gnar in a 1v1, Caps is pushing Warzone in under his turret, almost solo killing him, multiple times. They had so much pressure in those solo lanes, but if you don't, A, counter gank those, B, get vision and actually protect them, or C, just kind of have a sixth sense to actually back off when he could be around, then you're going to be giving over kill after kill. So no matter how much better Caps is than Warzone, as an individual, he gave over so many free kills to Yijin. That allowed Warzone to stay in the game. Same thing for Stark. I mean, he should not have had any relevance in this game with how it started out. Being half the CS of a Gangplank who outscales you, you shouldn't be able to do anything. But he was gifted multiple free kills.
I mean, that said, I understand that the breaking point definitely happened in between the jungle and the mid lane and what was happening there, not shutting down Warzone. But I keep looking back at the draft and I keep seeing these Sivir Braums when caster supports have been such a big priority. A lot of people are going to focus fire in on Reckless here, and I do think that there is an effective champion pool issue that needs to be discussed. The fact that they can't use a threat like Kai'Sa or haven't been able to showcase it at MSI, but also Hilly. The fact that he's not getting these priority picks into the bot lane. If that's a team decision or if that's a bot lane decision, I don't know, but it just seems like a fundamental flaw for Fnatic because they keep losing with this strategy. The games aren't going long enough for that Sivir to meet that 500 CS win condition.
That said, the game was relatively tense for a solid period of time until the Baron dance in which EVOS comes out ahead very smartly.
Yeah, looking at this, you can see they just peel right off the Baron. Wow. Big disruption by Stark right there. And everyone gets so low from that one ricochet, but because they're able to get the kills and because they've had so much Drake control, in part because Fnatic has had no bottom side pressure, the Ocean Drakes healed them up a good amount, and they're able to re-engage with the teleport.
Yeah, the teleport here was so good from Stark, kind of pulling them in, as you said, double Ocean to be able to buy you some time, and then Stark straight up coming in. He has the Frozen Mallet. You get one auto off there, you're going to be able to chase him down.
Yeah, and credit again to EVOS to not overcommit to the situation and to wait for Stark to get into position, because throughout the tournament, we have seen them get antsy around these clutch plays. And like you said, if they go in and Reckless just hits one ricochet, everyone explodes.
Right, but more important than the game itself is what the game means for the remainder of the tournament. So I want to take another look at the standings and break down what this means not only for Fnatic, but the remaining teams to play.
I mean, Fnatic started the day with their destiny in their own hands. Now it is no longer the case, right? They are depending on RNG beating TL, which certainly is possible. RNG has been looking incredibly good, and if that happens, that would then force a tiebreaker between North America, between Europe.
Right, and that means for NA fans, hopes are rising as Team Liquid, who started the day without their own destiny in their own hands, now have it entirely.
I can imagine some NA fans waking up, checking their phone, being like, ooh, the Flash Rules post-game thread, that's interesting. Oh, they won. Then they turn on the stream and they see they're in a tiebreaker game. That's actually very possible for what could happen.
That could happen just a bit later.
You weren't expecting that when the day started, especially in that fashion. Or they could be playing against Uzi. They have already beaten RNG earlier in this tournament.
And we're actually guaranteed tiebreakers at this point. If my foldy sheet is telling me the truth here, we are going to have
generally accurate.
We are going to have one or two tiebreakers depending on the the following results. But that means there are going to be these tiebreakers, for first or second, or if it's for fourth, we don't know yet. But definitely a lot on the line still here.
Yeah, the next game is big. It's a battle for first place. We'll break it down on the other side of a break, though. For now, we're going to head it over to Shox, who's standing by with EVOS' top laner.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here with Stark after they beat Fnatic. Now, Stark, you did say that you guys were going to beat NA and EU at least as MSI, but it feels like you played very competitively in some of the other games as well. How do you look back on your performance overall at MSI?
Em nghĩ sao về cái màn trình diễn chung của EVOS tại MSI này? Chúng ta đã nói là chúng ta có thể đánh bại được EU và NA. Nhưng mà cuối cùng thì chúng ta cũng chỉ đánh bại họ được mỗi đội một lần mà thôi. Và nhìn chung thì chúng ta cũng đã có một số trận đấu mà làm khó được các đối thủ khác. Vậy thì đánh giá chung của em về màn trình diễn của EVOS tại MSI này là gì?
Em nghĩ là bọn em đã thực hiện việc vận hành vào những phút đầu tiên khá là tốt. Nhưng bọn em không biết cách tận dụng lợi thế đó để triển khai nó về sau. Mà thường là di chuyển theo em là chính. Thì điều đó nó bị các đội khác đánh ở nửa phần còn lại của bản đồ rất là nhiều, làm cho bọn em mất cái kiểm soát trận đấu. Thì ở trận vừa rồi thì bọn em chuyển hướng là thay vì là đánh trên top thì bọn em đánh phía dưới và đi theo cặp đôi đường dưới để kiểm soát ván đấu.
So we did really good with the early game in all of our matches. But we didn't know how to use that advantage to finish the game. And in the mid and late game, the team don't really know what to do except like wait for me to split boot. And the other team, they know that and they try to exploit that by attacking the other part of the map. So we realized that weakness, and in the last game, we try to play around our bot lane and to give them the advantage and play around them. So that helped us to win the last game.
It seems like you guys learned a lot throughout the tournament, and through your great performance, you also secured a spot for the VCS and Vietnam directly in the group stage of the World Championship, which could very well belong to you guys if you win the split once again. What do the next couple of months look like for EVOS, and how much do you think you can improve?
Đội đã đảm bảo được chắc chắn rằng Việt Nam sẽ có một suất ở vòng bảng của chung kết thế giới ở mùa hè này. Và nếu như EVOS đánh tốt thì đó có thể là cái suất của chính EVOS nếu như các bạn bảo vệ được ngôi vương của mình ở mùa hè. Vậy thì trong những tháng sắp tới, cái dự định, những cái kế hoạch của EVOS cho VCS là gì?
Em nghĩ là bọn em sẽ cố gắng luyện tập thật nhiều và cải thiện những chiến thuật không chỉ là xoay quanh em mà là xoay quanh đường giữa hoặc đường dưới. Và bọn em sẽ cải thiện về việc kiểm soát bản đồ và vận hành chiến thuật nó tốt hơn với việc có nhiều lượng tướng hơn nữa.
So we will try our hardest to practice as much as we can, and we have to diversify our strategy. We only know how to play around the top lane. We should be able to play around the mid lane and the bot lane also, and we will try our best.
We'll be looking out for it. You've made a lot of fans once again, Stark. And now I have to ask you, since you beat both NA and EU, and Team Liquid and Fnatic are the two teams still in the running for the 4th spot in the semi-final, who do you think is going to take it?
Sắp tới thì EU và NA vẫn còn đang tranh đấu rất là quyết liệt cho cái suất cuối cùng của top 4. Vậy thì em nghĩ rằng giữa hai đội Fnatic và Team Liquid thì đội nào sẽ có được cái suất cuối cùng này?
Em nghĩ là Team The Liquid, bởi vì là cái việc mà giữ vững cái tâm lý thi đấu thì rất là quan trọng. Và việc mà NA thua bọn em ngay từ trận đầu tiên đã dẫn tới kết quả không tốt. Cũng như Fnatic thua ở những trận đấu cuối cùng thì em nghĩ Fnatic đang gặp khủng hoảng về tâm lý, còn NA thì đang liên tục win. Nên em nghĩ NA sẽ vào.
I think Team Liquid will make it because they have stronger mentality. Although they started the tournament really bad when they lost against us, but they keep their head strong and they keep going, keep winning. And Fnatic, they play really badly the recent game. So I think in the mentality side, Team Liquid had the upper hand.
Team Liquid with the stronger mentality. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Stark. I hope we'll get to see you again at Worlds. Thank you for talking to me. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more MSI action after this.
It's up the slow. Now Cap's going to look for that sleep. Going to find the damage output. Going to be knocked down with the ignite. First blood is in. He's going to be slowed several times. Hopped on as well. Another stun comes in, and he just does not have the way to escape this one. 2 kills come through for EVOS Esports. Frontline look for Hillsong. Down to 1,000 HP into the front. The Drowsy, the pull back in though, and they get Cap, but a huge barrel explosion. Can Whippo be the carry? Broxah certainly cannot. So Cap wants to join this fight. 800 HP, not going to find the steal. Broxah nowhere near in range, and gets spotted out for it. Another kill. Now EVOS finds their 10. And Reckless alone with a single assist and no deaths, but his Nexus will fall, and that's the part that matters. EVOS find their 2nd win.
Predator, proud partner and official monitor provider.
Welcome back to Berlin, Germany, and the final day of the MSI group stage. Our next fight is in the top three as Flash Wolves and King Zone battle it out for first place. The three of you at the top of the day had predicted King Zone to win this game. So, Jad, I'm actually going to shoot it over to you first. How does Flash Wolves respond and recover from losing their last three?
Yeah, not going to change my prediction for this one because of the way Flash Wolves looked like they were playing a little bit scared against Team Liquid, like they were afraid of losing that top spot. But for them to win, I actually think they can go with a very similar draft. I liked the fact that they had a range support. Betty actually was able to get some lane priority bottom. They just have to be much more decisive about pulling the trigger and give Maple something he can carry with.
An issue that I have, though, is that Flash Wolves have been playing from blue side today. And the thing is one of their key strategies is they like to counterpick that support position to make sure that they get priority into that bot lane, as well as get Sword Art, one of their primary playmakers, a good matchup. Playing from blue side, they don't get that same flexibility. And I think teams, again, have figured them out and are matching them in the bot lane.
And for the side of the Korean team, Isaiah, what's the answer?
I mean, honestly, I think it's more playing through Prey. This guy has been such a monster in the tournament. You know, we were kind of talking on the desk, who would be the MVP of the tournament so far? For me, he's certainly up there as one of the candidates, if not just the flat-out MVP. I think that you get Prey one of his comfort picks, you build a composition around him, because Khan has not been doing it for Kingzone in this tournament. Put him on a tank, you know, allow Cuz to do what he does, and enable your bot lane carry, because that guy is a monster. And if you get to the mid-game and Prey is even with the opponents, I expect them just out team fight.
And the thing is while we look at Prey, then you also have to look at like Maple as one of the primary carries and expecting him to get to that bot lane. But with Cuz and BDD starting, it's like a completely different BDD. We're finally seeing that LCK MVP take the stage. And again, I feel like this is the proper jungle matchup to take into this, to shut down Maple and put BDD in a comfort zone.
Yeah, and if we look at what's happened recently, no more Kai'Sa, please.
Yeah.
Because Flash Wolves found a successful game picking Kog'Maw into Kai'Sa. But all the Kai'Sa teams have been doing is matching with a range support, getting them through the laning phase just enough, and it's been crushing. So please, Flash Wolves, do not think Kog'Maw is the Kai'Sa counter again.
And it's really interesting to me because, you know, you're talking about the success that BDD has had with Cuz. He said the difference between the two junglers. He gets to tell Cuz what to do. So they are more on the same page, they are more in sync, and BDD can shine.
Well, one of these teams will be out of the battle for first after this game. Let's see who comes out on top as we leave it to Freak, Papa Smithy, and Officio.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome to the caster desk. As he mentioned, a battle for first place. This is step one. Winner is alone at 7 wins. Loser, of course, can't make first place anymore. They're out at, their regular group stage is over. Yeah. RNG can tie at first if they beat Liquid an hour from now. That's the battle. First place, decide your first round opponent, and get that run into the finals.
And the fun thing here is that Cuz is playing compared to the last time I was mentioned already. He very much follows his team's calls a lot more clearly. Peanut has an idea of how the game should be played. His game sense has been a bit off this tournament. We'll see him again in the best of fives if you're asking me. But for now, they'll keep it simple and keep it Cuz.
One thing I always hope to see when I get Cuz in the games is something where you can start fights. Because that's kind of what it's been doing so far. The Zac game yesterday was spot on. The Camille today, some issues in the early game, but I think he got his revenge later on in the game. He was the one forcing a lot of fights in that mid lane.
And with Kai'Sa and predictably Ezreal probably going to join Kai'Sa on the ban list, I actually want to see something out of Khan or BDD. And the reason why I named Khan in particular is that when he was seen as the slayer of top laners, that was when Cuz was in the team and was largely targeting top side. He's been much more team focused, a lot more gangplank, a lot more standard in 2018. Whereas with Cuz, that's when he his name really put fear into the minds of a lot of other opponents.
Well, Jace getting banned here. We have to remember the last time these two teams played each other, Hanabi grabbed the Yasuo top lane against the Gnar and carried the game.
Yes.
I think he's ready for Khan to want his revenge, and he just very early on in the draft removed that Jace.
Vladimir off the table as well, and even though we consider Khan a top lane carry player, or at least can do that, it's been more on the fighters than the mages. Generally speaking, of course, BDD a great mid laner as well, but that Vladimir I do believe was not a bit of a bad look for Khan when he played it earlier this tournament. Regardless, one more ban to come through for Kingzone. Rakan off the table, but Varus, Betty's most favorite champion, as my words escape me, still on the table.
So Trundle is normally what we look at as a first pick, and I think you can go for that against Cuz specifically, because I'm not expecting the Graves to come in, but they do actually grab the Camille instead, and they want to make sure that Khan does not get his hands on it.
And it also gives him something on the blue side to be a flex pick, because Cuz was playing that jungle Camille last time out, and I think Pascurin was really onto something when she's talking about blue and red side. Kingzone themselves 4-0 on red side, all their losses on blue side, given that Flash Wolves have traditionally wanted to counter pick support and also engineer a good matchup for Hanabi to get through lane. Doing both those things is impossible unless flex picks like Camille are thrown in.
Also look at the AD carry bans with Kai'Sa and Ezreal, and then you grab the Kog'Maw. That means actually most of the rage played on mid game AD carries that can spike on like 1 to 2 items have been banned away, or at least the ones they consider top tier, because Varus is not really getting picked anymore, even though he was in the start of the tournament and actually was very successful for Betty.
Exactly.
They used to win all their games when they played Varus or Ezreal in the bot lane, and then last picked counter pick for Sword Art to have these winning, pushing bot lanes. I want to see Flash Wolves go back to that if they want to try and destroy this Cogmore here.
They are at least going back to some success, though. Maple's Talia was bonkers when he played it earlier this tournament. Going to grab that one, as well as Mugen on an aggressive jungler. We know that this Camille is definitely going top now, or, I mean, I guess flex to support.
Often when Kingzone have shown Cogmore priority in the LCK, they've paired it with a mid lane Scion. They love that duo because you can get the one item on the Cogmore of the Rage Blade and fight with Sion's power and go banner. There's also combat options. You can go very aggressive into a Talia. The Yasuo, a famous matchup. We haven't seen it from BDD, but played a lot in Korean solo queue. Well, I want to mention that Flash Wolves have done something in the first round by first picking Camille, then taking the Graves. They're basically saying, we want a combat advantage over your jungler. We want you to take a tank jungler into the Graves that we've seen 3, 4, 5 camping advantage over their enemies. They do get that here as Cuz defaults to the Zac.
But that Zac can still be huge when it comes to perma-ganking lanes and then later on in the game forcing team fights. I want to see if they go for another top lane ban as well. If the Fiora is something they look towards.
True.
Always a massive matchup against the Camille.
And Kana, famous Fiora in his own right. You have to hope it's going to be a carry versus carry matchup there. We've seen very interesting home-cooked ideas into Camille. So Afrika Freaks break out the Malphite into the Camille back in the playoffs. And we do see the Varus ban you were calling for, Deficio.
And good to sneak that one in. That was going to be a very likely pick out of Betty here. This means 1, 2, 3 marksman bans so far, at least for conventional bot laners. No Zoe allowed as a counter pick in Talia, and it's time for the final round of picks now.
They know their lane matchups. They know it's top lane Camille, and they know that it is, of course, the Talia in the mid lane. Seeing what the choice here mentioned already, they love the Scion with the Cogmore. Usually only go one threat in this comp. See if the Scion is locked in, a flex pick, which should be mentioned.
Exactly, yeah, still flex pick in case they see some shenanigans from Flash Wolves' side. Now, what do they grab for Betty down in that bot lane? Because
that's Rage Blade champion.
I mean,
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Uzi showed us at Worlds. Uzi showed us at Worlds, and he was really good at it. Still seems unlikely, but in Betty and the rest of Flash Wolves battling up against what everyone thinks the best team in the world, he's going to go for Ashe here.
And it's now the first time he gets to play this doing MSI, because otherwise it's been, you know, the Ezreal, the Varus, the Cogmore. These are kind of the picks he's been going for so far. It is now a crit 80 carry on his side, but it is an 80 carry that's very strong early on in the laning phase, and it could still be trying to win bot lane.
The identity of the LMS squad is very clear. They have Hawkshot, they have an invading jungler. They've denied and forced Cuz onto a tank. I mentioned the Yasuo. They do it. Okay. They go mid lane Yasuo here, you would have to think. But if you look at Flash Wolves, they're all about invading and tracking. They have so many different ways to shut down Cuz in the jungle.
And they're so mobile, maybe they can just move away from the Yasuo. You can snowball the other lanes, and then you don't care about BDD, because we know he needs a bunch of items before he really becomes the big carry.
But this is a test, guys, because I remember an international event where BDD picked for his own lane, picked the Syndra into the Malzahar, and was one of the main reasons that Longzhu lost game 1 and eventually the series against Samsung. Yasuo plays into the lane. This requires aggression. This isn't Galio for playmaking. These plays are highlight reel worthy.
This is very, very exciting. A couple of knockups to the squad. The Zac and Sion can set up for him. BDD bringing in the biggest new champion, I gotta say, for this tournament. Yasuo has been a up-and-comer so far. Has had some bad performances, but some really great ones as well. The battle for first place will involve the Yasuo in the mid lane. It's gonna be an exciting one to watch for. Prey and Gorilla also frequently considered the best bottom lane in the world. Haven't looked quite to that degree in this tournament, but what a time to show up is right now on Cogmore, one of the most sought-after champions in the game.
And a time catch for Gorilla, where the job is most likely just to stay alive for as long as possible, because we know with this pushing bot lane, Ashe and Janna on the side of Flash Wolves, then combine that with the strong early jungler and a roaming mid. There's a lot of players that can suddenly show up in that bot lane and try and make something happen.
And a lot of players can show up and kill Zac at a camp. Both these comps actually have a lot of internal consistency. They know what they want to do. And it's going to be all about the setup to see who gets there first.
And we are on to Summoner's Rift now for what's not going to be one of the last games. We are guaranteed tiebreakers, 1 or 2 based on how it goes, but a battle for first is in front of us. The winner either has it alone or shares it with Royal Never Give Up based on their results right after this one. But Flash Wolves have been a pleasant surprise so far at MSI 2018. Hoping to take down Kingzone here.
Yeah, I think the first few days we all became Flash Wolves fans. Sadly, however, for Flash Wolves, they've lost 3 games in a row. So they are still in the running for that first place, but it will be quite a turnaround compared to the last 3 games where they've not been able to get the same early advantages, or if they did, they were not able to then execute around a Baron.
And I think if you talk to 5 analysts, you get 5 slightly different reasons as to why Flash Wolves have kind of fallen away from their 6-0 start. To me, they were the first squad at this tournament to have a good idea of what they wanted to do, as Khan is trying to put up a bit of a defense on the top side here off the secondary invade. They understood the meta, they loved the double range bot lanes, and they got a lot of leads through that.
And this is important because this is what we see when Graves gets picked against things like Zac. Is you invade in early, level 1 to get wards around the buffs, to make sure you know where Zac is starting. And look, even Gorilla is up here, defending with Kingzone, trying to make sure Cuz does not get put too far behind. So both supports are actually not in their lane when the minions spawn.
But Gorilla's run teleports. We can get back down if he needs to. Sword Art, of course, has a combat summoner heal for him onto this one, as Gorilla not going to land the Q, and they're still fighting for the Sword Art, waiting in the wings to hopefully be a surprise, as that rebuff is going to leash and reset here. And so Maple and Muujin going to hope to steal away the Raptors, and well, Maple takes one of them. Sword Art takes another, but they're still denying farm from their opposing jungler.
Gotta say, though, if it ends up being a low econ game, you like the side of Kingzone as BDD's fighting already.
The drop down pretty low with some damage coming across. Conqueror available, and now turns back off as he last hits a few of these minions here.
But look how this tournament has shown us so many awesome level 1s. We are seeing supports start with their junglers. One support to defend and the other one to attack. Meanwhile, both AD carries are just sitting 1 versus 1 against each other in the bot lane.
But for this playstyle, that suits Flash Wolves because they can shoot a hawk shot and get more information on camps. Gorilla giving a leash for the Zac here. It's going to reset the camp, you'd have to think.
Just Sword Art alone at the moment, but yeah, oh, it's almost going to reset.
Oh, it's gonna?
It is, I think.
Just walk away from it, just walk away.
Or take it aggressive because they want Muujin to come over. He's got Smite in a couple seconds. There's the reset. Gorilla has to flash away, gets knocked back, and look at this, still level 2 for Cuz, but with Smite up, Muujin get this.
And Mabel managed to get a few levels in his mid lane, so that's why he can join now. Oh, Praise in here to try to finish, but all of Kingzone just want to get this blue buff.
Headed out, Smite level 2 for both these players. A nice wind wall in, and that's going to be grabbed up courtesy of Cuz, so that is a big buff to be taken.
Wind wall, very, very intelligent there. Not often you would talk about that 3 minutes into the game. It meant that only Smite could pick up the buff. Nothing else would incidentally take it away. A teleport is invested in. We almost had a 5v5 fight and around a blue buff at 3 minutes.
We almost did. Instead, we just got a bunch of jungle camps dying. BDD is going all in, just trading a little bit. Let's keep track of how many camps Muujin has taken. He got the Raptor camp and the red buff on top side. Then on bottom side, he secured the Grump and the Rift Scuttler. Cuz got his own blue buff and his own Raptor. So that's why he's only level 2. We'll get level 3 on the next hand, but it's going to take some time for him. Obviously, while Muujin has his entire jungle still alive that he can take.
And you gotta just expect Muujin to know the timer on when the Raptors respawn. That'll be the first one back up for him to steal. And you expect his recall to line up for that one, and he'll be there with potentially level 4 versus 3 advantage to make sure he can keep Cuz out of the game.
And honestly, the tracking of Cuz is going to be extended throughout the whole game. The hawk shot we already mentioned can be loaded into the top side. There was an assist ping there to basically say, let's confirm he's on the top side. He certainly was. As the game goes on, even though it's a largely AD-only comp on the side of Kingzone, everyone's squishy, and the Yasuo can take over this game. So the lack of a diverse damage portfolio probably not going to be punished by the side of Flash Wolves. They're very squishy.
Yeah, I feel like there's enough magic damage at least coming from Praise specifically, but also Cuz does add a little bit of value. But yeah, you are correct. Obviously, if there was a bunch of tanks on the other side, it would be fairly easy to itemize against this. Betty and Sword Art trying to push in, and this is what we mentioned with the Ashe pick specifically, but also Sword Art getting to counter pick support again. One of the big things the first few days.
And this time around, Cuz actually able to grab his own camp. Muujin didn't go for the big aggressive steal, but he gets both scuttles.
That's a small mistake, I feel like, because we have seen these Graves players like control every Raptor camp. Kasa famously did it yesterday, but this one slips away.
And Peanut did it to an even greater degree in the first game, but we saw both the early Graves domination that led to a win and the early Graves domination from Kasa led to a win in that one, but the loss came on the side of Peanut. It's really about the mid-game execution. Cuz knows what he needs to do, dive in and start fights. The role of a Graves as the game evolves can sometimes be up in the air because he's not a true frontliner. He doesn't always do enough damage to burst through a Sion or a Zac, and now the Zac's invading himself.
Oh, well, Cuz not going to go for the steal, but actually spotted by Mugen means they can surround onto him. He's going to slingshot right back out of the lane as they loop around and goes, okay, they know what's going on here. It does allow Mugen, I believe, to grab the red buff. He's able to walk away with that one, and the Krugs aren't stolen, but now he's going to look for Cuz on the way back in.
If it ends up a low econ jungle game, you're going to like the tank jungler as Cuz finds a bit of damage, no fun there.
Both has the Q, has the reload here, and Cuz gonna have a hard time fighting for anything. The Gromp is back up, but low health bars. They've got to track the rest of the team. Talia's pushed in mid, so BDD can't join.
And one of the most awesome things to look at is a professional team punishing a very slow early jungler. Just how many members are actually involved, how much communication you need, and timing of camps. Mabel is sitting on bot side, but Prey and Gorilla are under the turret, and it's not very fun to tower dive with Tom Kench. Bottom lane. They will get the camp, and Mugen gets another Rift Scuttle.
So tracking the jungle, 3 camps in the jungle stolen, and no scuttles given over the neutral ones to the King Zone jungle. It's only been the side of his map that Cuz has been able to grab. Mugen, level 5-4 here.
Cuz being battle warded. That's the title that was given to Peanut for this sort of play, where you know where the enemy jungler is. The fact that he's killing the only camp that he feels safe enough, which is this Krugs. Mugen's going to jump over and contest them.
Well, this one, though, Mugen can have Smite up much later than Cuz does here, so if there's a fight for the red buff, that's going to be an advantage to Summoners for about a 10-second window here. The red's going to come back up in a few seconds. We'll see if that battle happens as top is shoved around.
Yeah, want to push in the top lane, and then suddenly Hanabi can move down on the Camille as well in case a fight breaks out. Gotta remember, Gorilla's TP is almost ready. Wouldn't be surprised to see him randomly just TP up to that top side and be involved. But it's not there just yet. A few more seconds. Cuz is around that blue buff. Mugen is level 6. That is huge for him.
They spot each other. So now this is Cuz with a bit of an information disadvantage. The Cyan is coming down. Talia roaming up first, though. So Maple's here for this one. Hookshot. They're going to look for Khan. There's a bit of damage. He's got the ultimate as well. The ultimatum is called. And Khan down to 400 HP. Going to be jumped through with the Weaver's Wall. Does have a way to go. Unstoppable. And just survives the collateral damage.
It was very risky for him to walk up. Wanted to find information. Gets out of it, but only just. His summoner's down, but BDD finally has got some wave control. Can actually walk up.
They still get the red buff as well on the side of Flash Trolls, and we're just seeing this control. Notice how the goal is always to push the lanes first so that your solo laners are able to walk into this jungle and team up with the jungler itself without having to lose suddenly an entire wave of minions and fall behind themselves. So very good play so far, Mugen on this Graves here. It was just locked in even before we saw the jungler. He knew, Cuz is going to play a tank, I'm fine with this.
Well, because they first picked the Camille as well, which is the champion that we did see Cuz play that straddles the line a little bit more, a bit more of a ganking jungler who can duel. There wasn't really that much left open in the effective Cuz champion pool, which of course is implied. He hasn't played many professional games. You know, he was always around the tank jungler side of the coin. There wasn't much he could go to. He defaults to the Zac, and then everything has flown on to King Zone, doubling down on strong team fights, potentially quite early with the Rage Wave Copmore, and Flash was playing this tracker style.
Looking to track that some more as Zac has yet to get any ganks off. We've always talked about, I believe it might have gone around the side.
Didn't see him, but they know there's no camps up, so the chances of him lane ganking here are actually very, very high. They already had a ward prepped for this, so low percentage gank chance.
Now that we're looking at that bot lane, one thing with the Ashe pick is the most value you're going to get, it feels like, is in this early laning phase, because the arrow specifically against King Zone's comp is going to be very hard for Petty to use. You know, there's ways for BDD with Wind Wall, there's going to be Gorilla getting cleansed, and if someone gets hit and Gorilla is nearby, he just devours that target as well. So it's going to be hard for Petty to create a lot of picks, it feels like, with this Ashe. But obviously the damage, if she gets to stand still in a fight later on, I mean, Freak, you can definitely talk about, you know, Ashe fully stacked up. It's actually pretty decent. People think she's more of a utility, but she can actually deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, the downside on her damage is you have to attack 4 times before you get to turn on your steroid, and she's no escape, which means your positioning requirements are so high, you're often shut out of the fight. Either way, though, a good fight is always great for Ashe. Quick Mount Drake pickup here. Flash Wolves continuing their bot pressure and jungle smashing and getting the first objective of the game.
And you do feel like Betty was probably caught between Ashe and the Varus that we already discussed, but the Varus was banned away. If it was picked here, would have played a bit more to lane. At least with the Ashe, they basically made Muujin's job as easy as possible. It's the safest invade you could ever ask for when the Hawk Shot is thrown in. Haven't talked much about BDD, but he's looking for a trade.
Gonna have a fight here. Slingshot's coming over. Not gonna find the knockups just yet. Windwall gets rid of some of what Muujin wants to do and pulls him back in. Ashe Arrow's gonna land though, and it stops him in his tracks, push them right back in, and the health bar's so low, this guy's gonna run away. Muujin joining, all the heals are there, but they split blobs up, and the TP is up there if they need Khan to save him. Down very low, not gonna burn the spell. First blood goes through to Muujin.
And the Ashe Arrow was so critical. A 3-second stun. Stop the Yasuo doing any more damage. Perhaps from both sides. Not faster for Gorilla, even with the Abyssal Voyage. And Flash Wolves, they're going to keep pushing.
Oh, Tornado's coming.
Sword Art's going to find an almost knock up. The Windwall's there, and very fitting the type bonus is in.
The end they get to defend, BDD and the rest of King Zone. Actually, we see Flash Wolves staying around. Betty is out of mana, but Muujin, he's looking at them Raptors.
And a TP in for the flank. This could be a very important fight now for King Zone. Looking to pull the trigger onto this one. BDD has a knockup available. The ultimate not quite up, but he's going to find some damage. Muujin caught out, kicked down, and Prey gets one on the scoreboard.
They just assumed that the battle was over. It was not. Maple bot lane's not joining.
Nice job right there. Prevented the cancel on the knockup, forcing a flash of the Sword Art. Really nicely done. These Windwalls have been on point for BDD.
But it's the first time we're seeing a disconnect in the playstyle there. Maple was not supporting jump in and steal away the Raptors. They make a solo play. They could not have their mid laner there. And the teleport from Khan, intelligent to actually shut down something.
Yeah, that one definitely surprised Flash Wolves, but the whole fight that just started with the 2v2 in mid lane, just when we mentioned how hard it's going to be for Betty to use, he's all in.
Stun is in. Prey's going to have to get to Gorilla. Flashes in and jump right back out. A trade of flashes, though, not the end of the world either side.
Oh, Prey might be the next target then if we get another fight here, because Mabel's ulti is ready. If he can go towards that lane and Gorilla cannot safely get them out, that's a kill. We get the 2v2 trade, all in. Nice Windwall coming from BDD, and nice setup from Cuz, but then the arrow coming from the bottom lane, smack into the behind here of Yasuo, and suddenly he can't actually kill Mabel.
So often when you have both bot laners reacting, the Tom for the Tom Cantor will react first. In this case, the global was more important. And even with a teleport on the Blobless, it's not possible. Sion was under turret. They wouldn't have been able to keep him alive, Cuz.
Anyway, it's going to be some more lane pressure. Flash Wolves have bot lane on about 5 HP right now. Maple had shoved that one in a second ago, and they're sending the troops over. We'll see if they can donate the gold to the